Are your home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
12:01, we have 74 degrees, sunshine today with a high of 80 from the WTMJ Breaking News Center. I'm Connie Weber. The date is now set for the start of the federal trial of former President Trump on charges connected to January 6th. ABC's Stephen Portnoy has more from Washington, D.C.
The lead lawyer for the former president forcefully argued that he needed more time to prepare, that he was just hired a month and a half ago. But Judge Tanya Chutkin said Donald Trump himself has known about the investigation for nearly a year, and she has set jury selection to begin here in this courthouse next March 4th. That's the day before the Super Tuesday primaries in more than a dozen states, and 3 weeks before Trump is set to go on trial in New York in the Stormy Daniels hush money case.
Meanwhile, Trump's former chief of staff, Mark Meadows, arguing before a judge in Georgia that his case be moved to federal court. Meadows is one of the 19 defendants, along with his former boss, who are being charged with racketeering for allegedly trying to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. Meadows is arguing that he was working as a federal employee during the events after the 2020 presidential election. An 11-year-old boy was badly hurt after he was hit by a vehicle on the city's north side. TMJ4's Megan Lee has more from Hoyt and Fond du Lac.
11-year-old Kamani Washington tells me he was out riding his bike with his friend on West Fond du Lac Avenue when cars started racing down the road.
He went flying up in the air.
Like many, Laretha James is fed up with the speeding in her neighborhood.
Where are they going? In a hurry? Nowhere. It's every day.
She has a message for the driver as well.
Turn yourself in. That's what you can do. Because it's going to hunt them. Hitting a baby? Come on now.
With a silly string in hand, Kamani has one last thought to share.
Everybody just pray for this man, bro, because he did not deserve this.
The Milwaukee Fire Department did confirm the child was taken to Freighter Hospital and is in critical condition.
One person dead after a police rescue helicopter crashed into an apartment complex in Pompano Beach, north of Fort Lauderdale. This woman lives nearby.
There was debris everywhere. We thought we saw a car on fire and things were exploding. On fire already. And it was pretty horrific.
A crew of 3 reportedly in the helicopter. 1 died at the scene. 2 others transported to the hospital. Tropical storm Idalia barreling toward Florida. The storm expected to strengthen into hurricane sometime today and pass over western Cuba tonight. Idalia will be a dangerous major hurricane when it makes landfall on Florida's Gulf Coast early Wednesday morning. Memo to Packers fans, keep quiet when the offense has the ball. The team reminding Packers Nation when to get loud at Lambeau Field.
During Saturday's preseason win over the Seahawks, the PA announcer at Lambeau Field told fans to stop doing the wave.
It is loud. Fans get crazy.
Former offensive lineman Mark Tauscher tells Wisconsin's Morning News that fans need to pick their spots.
You can get as excited as you want. Let's do it after we score a touchdown. Let's not do it so we get a false start.
But 101.7 The Truth's Telly Hughes, a former sports reporter, says players can handle the noise.
Is that really distracting? A 6'4", 320-pound guy running at me at full speed is a little more distracting than the wave.
Eric Bilstad, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. And the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is now up 234 points. The S&P 500 up 28 and the NASDAQ Composite up 112. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time, 12:04.
Is joint pain, soreness, and achiness getting in the way of your best life? Football legend Emmitt Smith refuses to back down to pain. That's why he's a huge advocate for QC Kinetics and their natural approach to getting you relief.
Look, we get one trip around, so I wouldn't ever let pain stop me from hanging out with my race team, traveling with my family, or golfing with my friends.
Emmitt's got it right. And QC Kinetics uses regenerative medicine to relieve that never-ending pain in your knees, hips, shoulders, and back. And the best news, there's nothing foreign being introduced into your body. Just your own body's natural healing properties. No surgery or no downtime.
If pain's holding you back, maybe it's tennis, pickleball, running, hiking, or spending time with special people in your life, what are you waiting for? This is precious time. Get out there and get over to QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Losing sleep lately? The job, the house, the headlines, or investments? How about the feeling your investment partner isn't a partner at all? They might be operating in someone's best interest, but that someone isn't you. It's time for Annex Wealth Management. It's easy. Head to annexwealth.com, click the Get Started button. We work in your best interest as a fiduciary. That commitment runs so deep, we put it in writing. Does your advisor do that? Know the difference with Annex Wealth Management. Start at annexwealth.com.
The Henry Sofa from Penny Mustard brings out the philosophical side in me.
It has an old-school academia vibe.
The rolled arms and beautiful scallop back give it a distinguished look.
Plato said, wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools, because they have to say something.
Oh, I loved playing with Play-Doh as a kid.
The Henry Sofa, American-made and exquisitely tailored with ultra-high-density cushions and hundreds of leather and fabric options. Starting at $24.52 at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. The Brewers swept the Padres to win the weekend series 10-6, keeping them in first place in the NL Central and 4 games ahead of the Chicago Cubs. Brew Crew take on the Cubs for a new series starting tonight in Chicago, 7:05 p.m. Our coverage begins at 6:30 right here on WTMJ. Packers, of course, also winners this weekend in their final preseason game, 19-15 win over the Seattle Seahawks at Lambeau. And NASCAR returned to the Milwaukee Mile at Wisconsin State Fair Park for the first time in 14 years. Alabama native Grant Enfinger took home the checkered flag. Taking a look at your look at your roads now, rather, with your Johnson & Sons time saver traffic. Typical drive times, no delays to report this afternoon. 94 from the zoo to Highway 16, running about 10 minutes, about a 5-minute drive from downtown to the zoo. 43 northbound from the Marquette Interchange out to Brown Deer Road, about a 10-minute drive, and 94 southbound from Marquette Interchange to Layton Avenue will take you about 6 this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by the famous Fox and Hounds restaurant near Holy Hill.
The famous Fox and Hounds and Mine Chef restaurants are hiring bartenders, servers, food runners, bussers, and hostesses. Make real cash. All ages welcome. Inquire today. Start next week. Great jobs.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. We have nice weather this week. Sunny and nice today with a high of 80. There is a chance of showers late tonight and early tomorrow morning. Overnight low 63 and tomorrow's high 76. Then Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, sunshine all 3 days. High Wednesday 72, 77 Thursday, 88 degrees on Friday. Right now, Madison 73, Green Bay 74, Milwaukee 75 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 12:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Come join the conversation on the Old National Bank talk and text line at 855-616-1620. Old National Bank. Get old. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome to the show. However you take it, whether you listen to us on the terrestrial radio or you catch us on the stream, or as we've been talking about for the last couple months, you can watch us live. We have our own channel on YouTube. Just go to WTMJ on YouTube and you'll see this. In addition, you can go to WTMJ.com, click on the Watch Live button. I give you a round of applause if you are partaking in that way. And you know, we always try to have visual aids. I know sometimes people wonder what's going on kind of behind the scenes and things like that. And all right, what's the drink of choice on the air? Well, today it happens to be Diet 7-Up. That's it. 0 sugar, no caffeine. There's no nothing in this Diet 7-Up. But that is what's going to help get me through the program today. We have a lot of ground to cover. Let's get right to it. I've told this story before, so bear with me if you've heard it. A number of years ago, I used to do my own taxes. I don't anymore. I don't anymore. But I used to do my own taxes. And I'd sent in the taxes and I'd figured them out. And I will never forget, it's a Friday. This is when my late wife and I lived in Whitefish Bay. Mail comes. That's great. There's a letter from the IRS. Never a good thing when you get a letter from the IRS. Open up the letter from the IRS, and in it is a check for... And I, honest to goodness, don't remember the exact amount, but it was more than $5,000, and probably it was more than $5,000, but I don't think it was $10,000. I forget, but it was a sizable amount of money. And the note says that I have made an error on my tax returns that I have filed, and this is a refund that I am entitled to. Now, I fully acknowledge that I can make mistakes and things like that, but I'm sitting there thinking there is no way in the world that I made a mistake to the tune of several $1,000s on the tax return. I know I didn't do it. So because I have this kind of obsessive thing, I got to figure this out. So we were supposed to go to dinner with people. It was Friday night. Well, that ended up getting called off because I'm sitting there at my desk and I'm going back and I'm trying to figure out what's going on. And, they don't really tell you where the mistake is. They just, come up with a different calculation. So it took me a couple hours. And ultimately, I figured this out. And what had happened was my late wife was self-employed. So she had to, for most of us, there's a limit on how much Social Security you have to pay in, and then your employer pays it. If you're self-employed, you got to pay the whole thing. That's what it turned out to be, that somebody at the IRS had miscoded this and hadn't realized that she had to pay all of the Social Security tax or something like that. And that's what made the difference. It took me a little while to figure this out. So let's assume it was $7,000 or whatever. All right, I see this. I know that my tax return was correct. I know I did not make the mistake. So I guess there's a couple ways you could go with this. You could say, okay, I'm going to keep the dough. They've sent it back to me, and I'm going to kind of hope that they never figure out that they've made this mistake. That's one way you could go. The other way you could go is, I don't want to mess with the IRS because, if they figure out that they've made this mistake and they've sent me this back, then I'm going to owe interest and penalties and all these things. And if the check was $7,000, it's going to quickly turn into $10,000. Or the other thing is, it's just not right. I know I owe the money, and so let's get it right. So what ended up happening is I ended up sending them a letter together with returning the check saying, look, this is where I think you've made the mistake, etc. In response, Samantha, you know what happened? They audited me. I get this note saying, we're going to audit you. Okay, so I'm trying to return money to them. So I get audited, and it goes through like a process of 4 or 5 or 6 months later. And then they ultimately come back and they say, well, you're right. This amount was correct, and you don't owe us any more money or whatever. But I'm like, okay, talk about no good deed goes unpunished. You get audited when you try to say, look, this is where your mistake was. But anyhow, I was always very comfortable with that. And well, while you don't want to mess with the IRS, the bigger point was I owed the money. I mean, I knew I owed the money. It was a legitimate debt, and the fact that maybe I would have been able to sneak it through, I don't know. My guess is sometime soon it would have been caught. But regardless, I owed the money. It was a legitimate debt. And so I've always felt good about handling the situation in that way because I think it was the right thing. Just like if people owe you money in your business, or your employer owes you money, you expect your employer to do the right thing and pay you. I think similarly, when you owe people money, it's the right thing to do to pay it. Which brings me to the story from the local newspaper, which is where I want to start the program today. UW Oshkosh, this is the headline, sent recent grads their diplomas. Then it surprised them with a bill for another $7,900. Sticker shock set in earlier this summer for a group of 7 University of Wisconsin Oshkosh students who graduated this winter from an executive MBA program and received their diplomas this spring. Then they got a letter from the university's billing office in June informing them of a discrepancy. The students each owed another $7,903.78. Almost half a year later, we graduate to get an $8,000 bill. That's a lot, said one of the graduates. $8,000. I don't care who you are. That's a lot of money. That's a big difference in people's lives. Well, I understand. Okay, let's accept this first premise. $8,000 is a lot of money. All right, no doubt about it. The students' understanding was that because they applied for graduation and received diplomas, they had paid all bills related to the $59,500 program. 5 graduates explained in a written letter to the university. You can't get the physical diploma until you actually pay your tuition in fall. It's like you want to graduate from high school, you took out a library book, you need to return it. But a June 1st letter from the university bursar informed students about a recently completed audit that found they had been undercharged for their final term. So, in other words, if we kind of cut through this, because the university made a mistake with a coding error, they sent inaccurate billing statements to these students. So the students were not charged as much money as they should have been for their final year. The university has now caught this mistake, and they are now trying to collect the money that they're owing. They're saying these are what the bills are. Now, I've gone pretty much as far as there was to go to school. I went to college. I went to law school. I always had I knew what my tuition was going to be. I knew what the tuition was in law school. You get these notices saying, okay, this is how much it is for your first year, and then it went up and it went up. I always knew what the expectation was. I knew how much money it was going to be. The same for college. And if suddenly, for example, my third year of law school at Marquette University Law School, if they had said the bill was going to be X thousands of dollars, and I knew that was the fee, and I only got charged X thousand minus $1,500, I don't know that I would go on to the bursar necessarily and said you've made a mistake, but I understand that they were not charging me what I was owed. Our number is 855-616-1620. That is the Old National Bank talk and text line. As long as these students knew what the tuition was supposed to be, and I think that's pretty much, I don't know that anybody is arguing that. They knew what the cost of this program was going to be. The fact that the school made a mistake and underbilled them at the end, I don't think that should preclude the school from going ahead and trying to collect what everybody, I think, would agree was supposed to be the cost of tuition. 855-616-1620. It's kind of like, I don't know, if you're a contractor, you're a homeowner, and you hire somebody to come out and do your roof. And you agree that the cost of the roof is going to be $15,000, and you sign the contract for $15,000, and you pay $7,500 up front, and then when the final bill comes due, the roofer makes a mistake, and instead of charging you $7,500, only charges you $4,000. A mistake. They make a mistake. Does that mean you shouldn't have to pay what you agreed to pay? 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Seems to me, as long as everybody agrees that that's what was really owed, the fact that, in this case, the campus billing thing made a mistake and undercharged people doesn't mean to me that you don't have an obligation to pay, does it? 855-616-1620. We discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this. Wisconsin's Morning News.
Question is, what do we do about the retail theft epidemic?
Join Vince Petrano every weekday starting at 5 a.m.
Capital One Research reported U.S. stores lost an estimated $86.6 billion.
Start the day with what you need to know.
So, look, if a certain number of people in the population are just walking out with stuff, the rest of us are paying more for it.
Only here on Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio WTMJ.
Now, about your house. Eric Brown is the president of Siding Unlimited, your contractor for new windows, roofing, siding, decks, and a whole lot more. He knows about your house. So what do you know, Eric?
New windows? Where do I begin? It seems everyone is staking claim that their window is the best. Let's talk about 4 characteristics of windows that are important: energy efficiency, aesthetics, operation, and installation. If their window is the best, these qualities should stand out. Living in Wisconsin, energy efficiency is important for your comfort and your wallet. While many companies want to focus on glass ratings, we can't forget that air infiltration is just as important. You can have the best glass in the world. It is useless if wind is whistling around it and you're losing money out the window. The best window should look amazing. When comparing and contrasting, so often the less attractive windows have wider, bulky frames and hardware that looks like an afterthought. If you are seeking the best, then narrow, sleek frames that look beautiful as well as maximize the glass space will give you a gorgeous window that allows more natural light into your home. How easy do your windows operate? Are they tough to clean or even impossible to open? How they operate is very important for the best windows. The best windows are easy to clean and easy to open. True professional installation will assure your windows perform and operate fantastic. The best product in the world will not perform if it is installed wrong. Siding Unlimited's showroom is open so you can see, touch, feel, investigate your window choice. We offer the best windows and can prove it. Stop on by. Siding Unlimited is an easy place to begin.
Our local and family-owned Siding Unlimited is Pella Windows Platinum Elite Certified Contractor of the Year in the whole USA. And for 3 years running. Get the best windows installed by the best installer. Go first to sidingunlimited.com.
Back for more. Here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
guess I'm really not sympathetic. So you have these people who sign up for this 5-year MBA program at the University of Wisconsin-Oshkosh. The cost of the program is like $59,500. That's understood going in. Somewhere along the line, because of a coding error, computer glitch, or whatever, the last, I think, year, the people that are in this program are underbilled like about $7,000 or $8,000. So everybody knows that this is what the cost is going to be, but they're underbilled. So they make a mistake. Now Oshkosh has found out that they were underbilled, and they're going back and they're saying, hey, you owe us, this is the difference. And some people are up in arms. I'm sorry, I'm not sympathetic about this. If this was a bait and switch sort of thing, and they told everybody going in the program was going to cost $60,000, and now they're trying to charge $70,000, maybe. But this was a computer error that resulted in them paying less than they had agreed to pay. Well, sorry. I mean, wouldn't you have thought somebody, when you see the bills, and again, if you're in the MBA program, I don't think it's unreasonable that you're keeping track of how much you owe. All right. Plus, my other question would be, if you took out student loans to cover this, what did you do with the $8,000 in extra student loans? I guess the bottom line is you agreed to pay this. They didn't bill you. If anything, you've gotten an advantage because you haven't had to pay that money in a more timely fashion. Let's start with Steve in Oak Creek. Steve, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Good afternoon, and yes, definitely the students should be paying what they owe. And just to add a story to your stories, when I graduated from college many years ago, going through the graduation ceremony, picking up the diploma on the stage, was always amazed that they actually had so well organized. Your diploma was actually in the pamphlet. Well,
right.
As we're going back to the seats, I can hear kids in front of me and behind me cursing, and they would sit down and they'd open up, not see their diploma. Instead, it was, you owe the library $2.50, or you have unpaid parking tickets. Pay up, and then you'll get your diploma.
Yeah. Yeah, right, exactly. Which is what a lot of these places do. That because they realize if you're in arrears, that's the only opportunity they really have to collect. No, thanks for the call, but I mean, and in this particular case, everybody understands it was a mistake. But I guess I'm trying to think again, as somebody, I don't know, I'm thinking if I was in my second semester, senior year at Marquette Law School, and I knew what the tuition for that semester was going to be, or I think we paid every year, but whatever. If I know the tuition's going to be, I would date myself by telling you how much it was when I was in law school years ago. But if I know it's going to be, pick a number, $10,000, and I get the bill for $6,000, maybe because they haven't realized they're charging, maybe they're charging you undergraduate tuition instead of law school tuition, whatever. Right? That doesn't change the fact that I know it's supposed to be $10,000, and it doesn't change the fact that I'm going to owe that, does it? 855-616-1620. Jeff, presumably these students would expect a refund if an overcharge mistake was made. So I think they should pay up if there's an underbilling mistake. I would think they knew what the costs were going to be. Yeah, you sign up for the program, and that's pretty clear. This is what the program is going to cost. And again, if you got a master's in business, my belief would be you probably have, if you owe $60,000, for example, for this, you should probably have a pretty good idea of where you are on the billing sort of process. But the texter makes an outstanding point. If you were overcharged, all right, if instead of it being $10,000 a year, for example, if they charged you $15,000 a year and the agreement was supposed to be $10,000, you would expect a refund, right? And you would be entitled to a refund, right? Absolutely. So I guess I just look at this and say, no, I don't. I am not. Am I sympathetic? Well, actually, not at all, because the people that this happened to got an advantage. They presumably they could have put that $8,000 into the stock market. They could have put that $8,000 into a bank, drawn a little bit of interest on it or something like that. This is money that they were supposed to have paid months and months ago. They haven't been billed for it, so they've had the use of that money for a period of time. Nope, this is one where I think it's pretty clear, pay up. And is it unfortunate that the UW Oshkosh had this billing glitch? Yeah, but it actually served to benefit the students because they didn't have to pay their tuition in a timely fashion. That perhaps is the bigger story than whether or not these people should be whining about not having to pay. Back with much more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Creative Planning presents Rethink Your Money with John Hagenson, Saturday afternoon at 1. Creative Planning is a wealth management firm that believes in a total approach to building wealth that includes taxes, insurance, estate planning, and other personalized elements. This approach allows you to receive advice that is aligned with your unique goals and always in your best interests. Why not give your wealth a second look? Visit creativeplanning.com.
Hi folks, this is Hank Albert, owner of BBC Lighting. With shorter days in the forecast, brighten up now with top quality lighting and ceiling fans at unbeatable prices. At our award-winning showroom, you'll see our new display of Visual Comfort brand lighting along with their newest LED lights and ceiling fans. We carry every major brand, and our prices are the lowest. I guarantee it. If it's lampshades or repairs you need, we do all that too. There's something for everyone at BBC, including fun for the kids and our famous free popcorn. BBC is open Monday through Friday from 9 to 5 and on Saturdays from 10 to 4. We're located at 20th and St. Paul Avenue, across from Sobelman's and Bachman Furniture, all near the Potawatomi Casino. Stay safe and healthy, my friends.
Since 1946, Ansay & Associates has provided insurance to help secure families throughout Wisconsin. Our experienced and local agents are here to assess your individual needs and ensure your family is protected. As one of Wisconsin's top 10 insurance agencies, Ansay & Associates is here to provide all of your insurance needs, from home and auto to life insurance and specialty coverage. Learn more at ansay.com. That's ANSAY.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. You ever ask yourself the question, what do I want to be known for? Do you know the answer? Are you in the right place to realize those aspirations? If not, LAK's Career Fit program can get you there. They'll work with you to create a roadmap to get you on a trajectory toward career fulfillment and renewed meaning in life, so you can truly discover what you were meant to do. Find out more about Career Fit. Visit transformingcareers.com. LAK Group, discover your human advantage.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You know, it is interesting when you have skin in the game, how you pay attention to things. Up until a couple of years ago, before I owned a place in Florida, I'd look at these reports and say, oh, there's a hurricane coming this way or that way. And you kind of say, oh, I hope it misses. I hope it doesn't cause a lot of damage for people. When you have a place, it's kind of like you pay more attention. Now, we got hit hard by Hurricane Ian last year. The current storm that's moving, and of course you never know, it's slated to hit much further up the coast than where we have a place. But you just never know. I mean, that's actually Hurricane Ian was supposed to hit up further up the coast, and then it kind of took a right turn. So everybody just sort of like takes a deep breath. But again, it is one of these interesting things when you are invested in something and when it could directly affect you, you definitely pay a lot more attention. All right. Should we follow Canada? All right. Now, of course, you've got the Biden administration, which is telling us all sorts of things. We shouldn't drive our internal combustion vehicles anymore. We should get into electric vehicles, even though the industry is not ready for that. We should get rid of gas stoves. We should stop heating our homes with natural gas heaters, all those stuff. The Biden administration, they're looking out for us. They know better than we know about, how we should do this. And if, by the way, you don't want to go into an electric vehicle or you don't want to give up your gas stove or any of these other sorts of things, well, then you must obviously hate the planet. That's kind of the attitude. Well, if you don't follow this recommendation, I guess you must hate yourself. Now, here's the story. Did you know we have an alcohol czar? That the Biden administration has an alcohol czar. He's the director of the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Now, please understand what I'm about to say is in no way an endorsement of alcohol abuse and or alcoholism. However, here is the deal. Right now, the guidelines for what you can consume when it comes to alcohol Currently, American guidelines recommend that men limit themselves to 2 drinks per day, while women should only have 1 drink. Now, that's the recommendation per day, no more than 2 drinks per day for guys, no more than 1 drink for women. Okay, so that's it. Apparently, they are seriously considering following the Canadian model. And Samantha, who's producing the show today and always, whenever you hear somebody saying we're considering doing what Canada does, that should be, just skyrockets going off because, just like for the wildfires, as we frequently know, what we should be doing is blaming Canada. The whole idea of, gee, we want to be more like Canada. I don't think so. But anyhow, Canada's guidelines, and apparently the U.S. is seriously considering this. Now, this is just guidelines. These are the recommendations, and you can feel free to ignore it. Canada's guidelines recommends for men and women. Now, right now in the U.S., the recommendation, men no more than 2 drinks a day, women no more than 1 drink a day. Canada's guidelines recommend only having 2 drinks per week. No more than 2 drinks in a given week. Now, first of all, I seriously wonder how many people in Canada follow that, and my guess is not that many. Secondly, 2 drinks for many people, that's Monday night before 6:30. I mean, let's face it. So this idea that here, we're going to suggest to people that no more than 2 drinks per week. How is that going to play out in real life? And do you think that there's all sorts of people that are used to stopping in at the corner tavern or whatever who are going to say, well, I normally like to come in here and I want to have my Miller Lite or I want to have my Brandy Manhattan or whatever, but I came in on Monday and I had my 2 drinks, so now I've got to wait till the next Monday. I don't think that there's too many people who are going to be paying attention to that. And as we frequently talk about with these kind of guidelines that they have out there, and if you're watching on our live stream, I was doing my little air quote thing there, the idea that, we're in general, and it's certainly not going to play very well up north in particular. But it's the Biden administration, and they're here to help. When we come back, breaking news in the legal troubles of Donald Trump, including what I think is an incredibly significant decision. We'll discuss what this means for the 2024 presidential race in just a moment. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner.
Don't miss out on the Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. Our entire showroom of heirloom quality furniture is on sale. Enjoy an unprecedented 37% off Norwalk furniture, as well as 40% off Bradenton Young and Hooker furniture. Create a sofa or chair as unique as you are with our thousands of customizable upholstery options. If you want spectacular discounts on their heirloom quality furniture, shop the Labor Day sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. Do you love the simplicity and enduring quality of Scandinavian design? Then the Fjords Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture is for you. Inspired by tradition and built to last, Fjords brings the best modern Norwegian furniture designed to your home. Save up to 20% on these ergonomic recliners engineered with comfort in mind. Available in a variety of shapes, sizes, leathers, and finishes to match any decor. Stop in today during our Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. Sale ends soon.
Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Well, then it's time to start thinking custom made. I'm John Hagenson, host of Creative Planning's Rethink Your Money. And every Saturday, you hear me talk about the importance of having a financial plan built around your unique goals. And this week, we're offering you a chance to get started on your very own custom-made plan with a free wealth path analysis. Don't miss this opportunity to learn how a customized plan can get you to your retirement goals even faster. Learn more at creativeplanning.com/radio.
Very glad to have you with us today. We live in interesting times, and just because of what I do for a living when I'm out and about, people engage me in politics, and so caught up in the Trump is he can do absolutely no wrong, and why should we care if he's so caught up in the Trump is he can do absolutely no wrong, and why should we care if he's been indicted 4 times, and why should we care if he's got all these different character flaws? We want him, or alternatively, the people who he's the Antichrist. We have to do everything to destroy him, and there's people that have these Trump obsessions on both sides, and my response to people typically when I get that is you really got to figure out a way to get over this because you'll live longer and it'll be healthier. But we do live in interesting times. For those of you who haven't heard the breaking news, so Trump has 4 different sets of criminal charges in 4 different venues that are pending against him. He's got the charges in New York State, which relate to hush money, quote unquote, that was paid to the pornographic film actress who apparently they had a one-night stand together, and the allegations are whether or not that involves election fraud. I've always thought that's a BS case, but that's out there. Okay, so you've got that's there. You've got the federal charges out of Florida that involve taking the records and then keeping them and failing to return them. That is, I think it's a case that, in my opinion, Trump has some legal exposure to. But at the same time, it's not, you never want to be charged with a federal felony, but it's not like there's any allegations that he was trying to sell these documents to the North Koreans or things like that. And even though I think he's got some exposure, I would argue that those are the least serious of the 4 charges. Then he's got this sprawling conspiracy charge out of Georgia issued by a Georgia district attorney, which would kind of be like John Chisholm bringing these sort of national charges alleging, racketeering and things like that. As I have argued before, I think those charges are a huge overreach, and I think those charges are going to blow up in the face of the Georgia district attorney as time goes on. So you've got that. But it still means you've got to defend these cases, and the big penalty for a lot of the defendants is going to be they're going to rack up hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars in legal fees defending themselves. And even if they're acquitted, even if the charges are ultimately dismissed, or if they plead guilty to something, get put on probation or whatever, they're still going to be on the hook for those legal expenses. And that's where, that's where it's really going to hurt everybody that's charged. But as far as Trump being convicted of some massive racketeering thing on these state charges, I really believe it's a bridge too far. And whether it's at a trial or whether it's on appeal or pretrial motions or whatever, I think those charges largely are going to go away. I have said all along, the case that I think has the most potential risk for President Trump as far as criminal exposure and as far as theories of a prosecution is this case that's being tried in Washington, D.C. Essentially, this is the one that charges him with 4 counts of conspiracy to defraud the government and obstruct official proceedings in connection with his activities after the election. This is a case where I don't know about all the charges, but I think for some of the charges, Trump has some significant legal concerns. Not saying it is a dead bang winner for the prosecution, but I think there's a lot of significant issues that are raised there. And yes, I think he's got some significant exposure here. Well, anyhow, there's always a question of timing. And the Trump team, the lawyers in all these different cases, have been trying to push the trials back past the November 2024 elections. I mean, the request was, when this trial in Washington, D.C., this federal indictment came out, the prosecutors wanted the case to go on trial in January, and the Trump team wanted the case to go on trial in April of 2026. We've got to have this delayed for 2 years. In any event, there was a contentious hearing today, and the judge has set a trial date of March 4th, 2024. So what's that? Approximately 7 months from now. The estimate by the prosecution is that the trial will take 4 to 6 weeks. Now, that's always just an estimate. It could be 4 weeks. It could be 8 weeks. But you're talking a month or 2 on trial. And unlike some of these civil cases where a plaintiff, or a defendant for that matter, can make the decision as to whether or not they're going to appear and be in the courtroom, when you're a criminal defendant, you do not have that choice. So if this case goes to trial as scheduled on March 4th, and the judge seemed pretty clear that this was going to be the date, Donald Trump will be required to be in the courtroom for, let's say it lasts 2 months, just for the sake of argument, all of March and all of April. In addition, Federal trials are nothing to fool around with. Like I was saying at the start of the program about how, the IRS is nothing to fool around with. Federal courts, federal trials, indictments, nothing to fool around with. So my guess is that in preparation for this trial, Donald Trump, if he's got any sense of self-preservation at all, he's going to have to be spending a whole bunch of time, certainly in January and February, the time leading up to the trial, with his lawyers, preparing for these things, discussing different theories. It's not just something that you can say, or that anybody it's not something that I would recommend to any client to say, here, just leave it to us. You show up on March 4th for jury selection and we'll take it from there. Plus, Donald Trump is very, very hands-on. I don't see that that's the case. So my point is, March 4th, if this goes as scheduled, and I'm not sure it's going to be delayed, he's going to be in a federal courtroom for 1 or 2 months, and he's probably going to be, if he's smart, huddling with his lawyers extensively for at least a month or two leading up to that. Now, why do I bring that up? Because March 4th is an interesting day, Monday, March 4th. You know what happens the next day, March 5th? It is Super Tuesday. 14 Republican primaries and 1 caucus. Before March 4th, you have 2 primaries and 4 caucuses. So the nominating race is just kind of gearing up. Super Tuesday is where you really, the putative nominee tends to emerge. 14 primaries, 1 caucus. The following week, March 12th, 3 primaries, 1 caucus. The week after that, March 19th, 5 primaries. And then 2 weeks later, April 2nd, 4 primaries. But the point is, during the period of time that Donald Trump is going to be sitting in a courtroom in Washington, D.C. as a defendant in these charges, that will be the time when 26 primaries and 2 caucuses are held. And he's not going to be in a position to be out there campaigning. That's just the reality, and that's just kind of the math if you look at when these primaries fall. And I think there's a realistic question about how much campaigning can he do before that when you're getting ready for a trial where your liberty is at stake. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. Is it possible, in the real world, is it possible to mount a presidential campaign while at the same time you are fighting multiple criminal charges in multiple jurisdictions, but particularly, if I am correct, and trust me on this one, I am, the most significant case against him, at least in my opinion, is this one that's being brought in Washington, D.C., the obstruction of election fraud, obstruction of official proceedings. This is the biggest deal of all of them, and they're coming right at the time, at the heart of the presidential primary campaign. What happens if Donald Trump is in a courtroom on a daily basis instead of campaigning? Can you seriously maintain a presidential candidacy and be in court defending yourself on criminal charges? Is that really possible? 855-616-1620. And is it wise? Maybe that's the other question. What do you think happens? We discuss in just a moment. 855-616-1620.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
At Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. For over 50 years, boaters have found that to be true. Because when they've needed that old part they thought they'd never find, guess what? They found it here, along with everything else you need to keep your boat out there on the water. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey boaters!
Well, if you have an old boat, new boat, or in between, then Kendor Marine is a great place for you to shop. Because not only do we have all the parts and accessories you need for almost any kind of boat, we also have the expert advice that just about any boater is one day gonna need. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus. I'm Weston. What's your question?
Know any good jokes?
Sure. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Hello?
That's it.
That's the joke?
Get it? We don't have employees at Hasseless Mattress, so nobody's here to answer the door. The doors lock and unlock on a timer.
No employees?
Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
Are you joking?
Shop Sealy Posturepedic, Beauty Rest, Serta Perfect Sleeper, and more for way less.
How way less?
Our 43 beds from the top 5 brands start at $393. Next day delivery, too.
You better not be pulling my leg.
And through Monday, you'll also get a $200 MasterCard Rewards gift card.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sorry, not home. I'm at Hasseless Mattress.
Get an additional $200 in rewards cash on your new Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper. Now through Monday at Hasseless Mattress. Open 9 to 9. Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasseless.com.
Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
This week's home improvement experts are senior realtor experts Bruce and Jean Nimovitz.
Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing. When you own a well pump, air spitting from the faucets, a decrease in fluctuating water pressure, along with silty, gritty, slimy changes in water quality, are all symptoms that your well pump isn't well. At Austin Plumbing, we're well-rounded plumbers. I say that because we're one of the few companies around who can capably diagnose and repair all the symptoms related to well pump and water system problems. You know when your car needs service, right? Maybe it makes unusual noises. It sputters, jerks, seems weak, or stops altogether. That goes for your well pump too. We have all the special equipment needed and the master know-how required to electronically pinpoint the exact cause of your well and water issues. And we'll give you a price up front before any work begins. If your well pump is telling you it's not well, let's nip small problems in the bud before you're out of water and in deep, expensive trouble. Told you we were well-rounded. Austin Plumbing. Online at teamaustin.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
For those of you just tuning in, the breaking news today is a federal judge in Washington, D.C. has set a trial date of March 4th of 2024 in the obstruction, the election fraud, the indictment that I think of the different charges against him is the most significant and the one that has the most chance of surviving legal challenges and things like that, however it turns out. The trial is estimated to last somewhere a month to 2 months, and again, those are estimates. It could be a little bit less, it could be a little bit more, but it comes right in the middle of the primary season, which means Donald Trump is going to have to be in a courtroom in Washington, D.C., as opposed to being out on the campaign trail. And my guess is he's going to have to be preparing with his lawyers before this trial instead of campaigning for the handful of primaries that are going to be before that. The day after his trial starts is Super Tuesday, 14 primaries. Following week is 3 primaries. The following week is 5 primaries. All the while he's going to be in a Washington, D.C. courtroom. As a practical matter, can you run for president at the same time you are defending yourself on multiple felony charges? You're not going to be in the various states holding rallies. You're not going to be doing what people typically do. Can Trump pull it off? Mark in Germantown. Hi, Mark. You're on WTMJ.
Hey, Jeff. How are we doing?
Good. What do you think?
Good. Well, there's so many. I could spend an hour talking about this, but I know there's other people waiting. So do I think he could pull it off? Yes. Now, I voted for him the last election. I'd rather kind of see somebody else. That's a separate conversation. But do I think he can pull it off? Yes, because here's the thing. If what you read is true about the amount of money he's drawing in with the mug shots and the fact that he's a martyr and this stuff, the fact that he's being unfairly picked on and all this other kind of stuff is true, I think that by him sitting in a courtroom when this stuff is all going on, the people that are going to see that, as far as they're going to go, some people, if you're really looking at it logically, it really isn't fair. I mean, I don't think it's fair. It's not by some coincidence that it just happens to be this date. I mean, we all know that there's more than one hand stirring the pot in all this thing. But do I think he could pull it off? Absolutely he can, because he's got the ego to do it, and he will find a way to do it, believe it or not. I mean, he'll in his own way, he'll find a way to pull it off. I'm not saying he's going to get I'm not saying he's going to get the Republican nod, because I think the decision might already be made before that point, is what I'm thinking. And I really do think it's going to be before that point. and it's either going to be an exclamation point or it's going to be a final decision on it at that point.
Mark, thanks for the call. I mean, look, who knows what's going to happen, and I understand many of you roll your eyes when you hear me say this. I have been saying for the longest time that I think there is a very, very I do not believe Donald Trump is going to be the Republican nominee, and I think that there's a very, very real chance that he drops out of the race at some point in time. Now, I understand that everybody says, oh, he's never going to drop out or stuff. There is, at some point in time, I think the sense of self-preservation kicks in. If one of the other candidates starts making inroads in the polls, and I understand that that's an if, and there becomes any question at all as to whether Trump might get the nomination, this is the save face excuse that he needs to step out. This is the one saying, look, this would be the Trump argument. This is a witch hunt. This is terrible that they're going after me, and the timing is politically motivated, and there's all these things. But what I need to do is I need to concentrate on keeping myself out of prison because I've got all these trumped up charges. I have had this happen. It has derailed me. I cannot be out on the campaign trail doing this. I cannot campaign from a courtroom. So the evil Biden administration, the evil witch hunts from the court system, this would be the Trump argument, they have succeeded in just forcing me to essentially become a martyr and end up defending myself. I still think that is a possibility. Now, I understand the flip side. A lot of people say, well, he's running because he's got to win because then he plans on pardoning himself or whatever. No, I mean, there's another alternative, and that alternative is somebody else wins as a Republican and then steps in and ultimately, if Trump is convicted of federal charges, issues a pardon of him, just like, Gerald Ford pardoned Richard Nixon. I'm just pointing out, I'm not necessarily saying it's a guarantee or a lock to happen, but don't be surprised because we live in unprecedented times.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
Come on, homie, we major. We major?
No, he's Major. Major Garrett, that is.
Russia and its calculus behind what it thought it would achieve in Ukraine has almost, if not totally, unraveled.
CBS News' chief Washington correspondent joins Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Tuesday at 3:45.
Now he's going to have to face this indictment and go through a criminal judicial process. It's a heavy day for the entire country.
Right here on Wisconsin's radio station, News Radio WTMJ.
There's a race going on inside your body, and sometimes the bad guys, otherwise known as arthritis, get there first. That's when the joint pain kicks in.
Your healing process is just too slow and just can't catch up, and it needs just a little bit of help from QC Kinetics.
That's Dr. Daniel Zuckerman, a QC Kinetics medical director.
We all know that you can heal yourself. If you get a cut, it heals on its own. Your joints are no different. We can take the healing properties from your blood, concentrate them down, and put them in the spot that you need the help. It's amazing. Your body can heal itself.
At QC Kinetics, that's called regenerative medicine. No surgery or steroids, just lasting relief, the natural way.
The fact that we can treat them without surgery, but using their own body's natural healing process, without medications, without steroids, without surgery, it's just amazing.
Call QC Kinetics now for your free consultation.
Call QC Kinetics, 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
I already have a will. Won't that keep me out of probate? Hi, I'm Kim Steinbrenner with Steinbrenner Financial Group and your Dave Ramsey SmartVestor Pro. Tune in to the Dave Ramsey program weeknights at 9 o'clock or visit steinbrennergroup.com to learn more.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station. Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
You know, our last caller does make an interesting point, and going to the whole point of we live in interesting times. So, okay, so Trump gets booked on Thursday. You have that mug shot, you know, which will go down in history along with the mug shots of John Dillinger and Al Capone and O.J. Simpson. It's going to be an iconic look, and it was clearly something that Donald Trump planned. And within minutes of that mugshot going public, you know, they send out this, they go back on Twitter or X or whatever they call it now, and they're back on that saying, okay, here's our chance, you know, breaking news, this is the mugshot, and they use it as an opportunity to fundraise. We talked about this on Friday. For $34, you could get a long sleeve sweatshirt, cotton sweatshirt. I don't know if it's made in the U.S. or where, but it's got a picture of Donald Trump, that picture on it, and then it says never surrender. And, you know, we talked about people buying it, and I played golf Saturday morning with a guy who's a psychiatrist, and we were just talking about the sort of mindset. You know, that you get indicted, and your first reaction is, okay, I'm going to fundraise off this. There's just the love him or hate him. There's a certain psychological profile that goes along with this. But here's the news. For everybody who rolled their eyes, according to the Trump campaign, they say they have raised $7.1 million since Thursday, since that mugshot was made public, including $4.18 million on Friday alone, the largest single one-day haul the president's campaign has made. $4.18 million selling the koozies with the pictures on them and stuff. People donating as a result of that picture. Once again, regardless of how you feel about this, if you were sending money in that particular case, it's what we frequently say, maybe that's God's way of telling you that you've got too much money. When we come back after the top of the hour news, who needs to work? I'll explain, we'll discuss.
Stay tuned. Jeff Wagner returns after this on WTMJ.
The postseason push is on! Be here as the Brewers battle the Phillies Friday, September 1st through Sunday, September 3rd. Show your school pride at College Theme Night on September 1st, presented by GE Healthcare. Plus, get set for September baseball with the Brewers Fleece Vest giveaway on Saturday the 2nd, presented by Hupie and Abraham. Get your seats today at brewers.com/promotions.
Three Pillars in Dousman is rated the best continuing care community in Wisconsin. Located on 300 beautiful Lake Country acres, it's not just a great place to live, it's an incredible place to work. Three Pillars has career opportunities for RNs and LPNs in assisted living and long-term skilled nursing, with signing bonuses up to $5,000. Be part of the state's top-rated team and make a difference in the lives of others every day. Learn more at threepillars.org.
Get started with your no-hassle refi checkup by clicking on the blue button at Accunet.com.
Nothing like a late summer dust-up with an old foe.
On the ground, left side, tough play! Safe! Ball game over!
The I-94 rivalry heats up as the Brewers travel south for a clash with the Cubs.
The Cubs get their hearts broken again.
Brewers Cubs series is sponsored by Steinhaffel's Labor Day Sale. Coverage gets underway beginning at 6 p.m. tonight. We are your home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
101, we have 76 degrees, reaching for a high of 80 today and an overnight low of 63. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. In Hawaii, the lawsuits are beginning to pile up over growing questions about possible mishandling of evidence in the Maui wildfires.
The ATF is handling the investigation into the cause and origin of the Lahaina wildfire, but now the Washington Post reports it has obtained documents showing Hawaiian Electric hauled away power poles, lines, and other equipment which could show how and exactly where the fire started. The evidence could be gone. Hawaiian Electric argues the equipment was not cordoned off by police and it was working quickly to restore electricity and that everything has been preserved. It comes as lawsuits are now piling up against Hawaiian Electric. Alex Stone, EBC News.
President Biden has signed an emergency order as Tropical Storm Idalia barrels toward Florida. The storm is expected to strengthen into a hurricane sometime today and pass over western Cuba tonight. Biden spoke with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, told him his state will have the full support of the federal government. Federal judge in Washington has set the date for Donald Trump's January 6th case in D.C.
Trump's lead defense lawyer forcefully argued that he needed more time to review more than 12 million pages of prosecution documents in order to prepare for trial. John Laurel made a point of noting he was just hired a month and a half ago. But Judge Tanya Chutkin wasn't persuaded by that, saying Trump himself has known about the special counsel's investigation for nearly a year. Laurel says he'll file motions to dismiss the charges, motions that Trump's actions are covered by executive immunity, and even a motion that Trump has been subject to selective prosecution in retaliation for what he said about Hunter Biden, the president's son. Stephen Portnoy, ABC News at U.S. District Court in Washington.
Americans asked to describe the Democrat in the White House and the Republican best position to face him in next year's election say President Joe Biden is old and confused, and say former President Donald Trump is corrupt and dishonest. Unflattering portraits of Biden and Trump emerged clearly in an Associated Press Nork Center for Public Affairs research poll, which asked an open-ended question about what comes to mind when people think of them. For Biden, the largest share of U.S. adults mention his age of 80. Trump, of course, has been indicted in 4 cases and elicits words such as crooked and liar. The Lake Express ferry, which runs passengers between Milwaukee and Muskegon, Michigan, was involved in a rescue on Friday.
Possible boat taking on water at Lake Express.
Around 10:30 a.m. Friday, while starting its second pass of Lake Michigan for the day, Senior Vice President of the Lake Express, Aaron Schultz, tells TMJ4 News the vessel saw another boat in distress.
They saw some smoke. As they looked back at it after passing it, they noticed it had pretty rapidly gone underneath the water.
7 people were saved from the water around the 27-foot boat, thanks in large part to quick thinking from the Lake Express captain. Adam Roberts, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money in the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update. The Dow is up 125, the S&P 500 up 11, and the Nasdaq Composite is up 55. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 104.
Hi, it's Rose Gray from Fox World Travel, inviting you on an unforgettable 2024 adventure. Explore Alaska, Europe, Hawaii, Japan, Egypt, Vietnam, and South Africa by land or river exclusively with Fox World Travel. Our award-winning experts crafted extraordinary itineraries with Insight Vacations, Globus, Avalon Waterways, Uniworld, and Holland America. Follow your wanderlust. Visit foxworldtravel.com or call 866-GO-FOX-GO to start your journey. Let's explore the world together.
It's outdoor living time. Make the most of it this year. Let Outdoor Living Unlimited transform your space into your outdoor living dream. A deck, a patio, pergola, fire pit, maybe even an outdoor kitchen. Outdoor Living Unlimited is a local, family-owned company that consults, designs, and builds these things. We live for summer around here. Make the most of it with help from Outdoor Living Unlimited. See OutdoorLivingUnlimited.com.
Don't miss out on the Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. Our entire showroom of heirloom quality furniture is on sale. Enjoy an unprecedented 37% off Norwalk furniture, as well as 40% off Bradenton Young and Hooker furniture. Create a sofa or chair as unique as you are with our thousands of customizable upholstery options. If you want spectacular discounts on their heirloom quality furniture, shop the Labor Day sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you out of the finest materials right from our own Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress imaginable. And with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattresses from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee, where better days come from a great night's sleep.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. The Brewers swept the Padres to win the weekend series 10-6, keeping them in first place in the NL Central and 4 games ahead of the Cubs. Brew Crew take on the Cubs for a new series starting tonight in Chicago at 7:05 p.m. Our coverage begins at 6:30 right here on WTMJ. Packers were also big winners this weekend in their final preseason game with a 19-15 win over the Seattle Seahawks at Lambeau. And NASCAR returned to the Milwaukee Mile at Wisconsin State Fair Park for the first time in 14 years. Alabama native Grant Enfinger took home the checkered flag. Taking a look at your roads now with the Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver Traffic. It has been a pretty good day, knock on wood, for traffic. No major delays to report. Typical drive times, including 43 northbound from the Marquette Interchange to Brown Deer Road, about 10 minutes, and 94 southbound from the Marquette Interchange to Layton Avenue, running about 6 this afternoon.
Traffic is brought to you by Crest Cadillac. Find them at crestcadillac.com. Crest Cadillac of Brookfield, located on Capitol Drive, just west of Interstate 41. Discover Crest Cadillac at crestcadillac.com.
The WTMJ 5-day forecast. The weather is cooperating as well. Sunshine today, reaching for a high of 80 and an overnight low tonight of 63, with a chance of showers later on tonight and extending into tomorrow morning. Partly cloudy Tuesday, a high 76. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, sunshine. High Wednesday, 72. 77 Thursday, up to 88 on Friday. Right now in Madison, 77. Green Bay, 76. And Milwaukee, 75 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 108.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Some interesting Green Bay Packers news. Tomorrow is the day that they have the cut downs and they go from 90 players to their final 53-person roster. But even once they do that, it's not set in stone because they can still cut people or add people or do things like that. But so there's going to be a lot of speculation as to who's going to end up making the team. But here's one of the interesting developments. For years and years, the Packers' place kicker has been Mason Crosby, and the Packers made the decision not to bring him back this year, and they're going with this rookie kicker named Anders Carlson, who had like a 56-yard field goal the other day, a big leg, but he's been a little bit inconsistent, and he's a rookie, and the Packers are apparently willing to stick with that. They believe that this guy is going to work that out, and he'll be the long-term future. In addition, though, a lot of times you take extra points and you take field goals for granted, but part of what goes on is you need to have a long snapper, the center who does his job, and you need to have a good holder. And one of the things that I think a lot of people were expecting was the holder, the guy that catches the snap and puts it down for the kicker to kick. It would have been a guy named Pat O'Donnell, who was a veteran, the punter. He doubled as the punter. And O'Donnell is viewed as one of the best holders in the National Football League. And he's a decent punter. I mean, the Packers, last year he ranked 28th in gross average and 30th in net average. So statistically not that great, but he's solid, he's consistent. But he's also a great holder. And a lot of people thought that was going to carry him through. Packers have just announced that they're getting rid of O'Donnell. And they're going with a rookie punter named Daniel Whalen, who, if you've watched him during the preseason, I mean, he's got a big leg. He punted in the USFL, and he's, I guess, a lot stronger punter than they think O'Donnell is. He's also a lot cheaper because O'Donnell has a $1.2 million base salary. Whelan's base salary is $750,000. So you save approximately $500,000 by going with the young guy. The big question, though, is now you've got a rookie kicker and you've got a rookie punter / holder, and who knows who the long snapper is going to be. So at least in the short term, I think a lot of people, all I'm saying is after the Packers score a touchdown, don't automatically go off to the refrigerator or run to the bathroom. Watch the extra point because it might be interesting. And time will tell whether or not, this decision is going to come back and bite the Packers, at least in the short term. Long term, they figured this was the way to go and they could save some money. So that's the breaking news story today. The punter from last year cut with 1 year left on his contract. And I don't think a lot of the so-called experts saw that coming. Something that a lot of us didn't see coming either was the Brewers winning 8 games in a row. I mean, it's like somebody flipped a switch. For the longest part of this year, you'd have the Brewers who were getting by on pitching and to a lesser extent defense and just couldn't hit, and they're winning one-run game after one-run game. The last 8 games, it's like somebody said, oh, you realize that, the game's a lot easier if you score a whole bunch of runs, and they have been scoring runs in droves. So after getting swept in Los Angeles, losing 3 games in a row, and I think scoring 3 runs during the entire 3 games, they just end up going on a tear. They've now won 8 games in a row, and they go down to Chicago for a big 3-game series starting tonight. And the Cubs are, I believe, 4 games behind them. There's like 32 games left to go. This is, if the Brewers could manage to win, and I'm not making a prediction, but if they could manage to win 2 out of these 3 games, the math starts to get daunting as to the ability of the teams chasing them to catch up. So you can hear that game tonight on WTMJ. Just an amazing turnaround in this season, and the Brewers playing just great baseball. And as my friend Wayne Larrivee always taught me, of course, the Packers announcer, he always used to say, and he's absolutely correct, it's not necessarily who you play, it's when you play them, meaning that it's a long season, whether it's a football season or a basketball season or a baseball season, and bad teams get hot, good teams go cold. You just never know. And clearly, the teams that are catching the Brewers right now are catching a very, very hot team. So pay attention because it's a fun ride. All right. I saw this story and it attracted my attention. The lady, she comes from Australia, but you can't blame that. You can't blame her on that. It is a much larger issue. Her name is Esther Boyd, and she has gained international attention because of this video that she shared on TikTok. And what she says is she's got a 15-year-old kid, got a 15-year-old son who starts talking to her about, gee, should I go out and get a job? Should I work this summer? Should I work when I'm in school? Should I get a part-time job? He's 15. And she goes public and she says she begged her kid not to seek employment. Don't go get a job, because she wants him to, quote, do what he wants while he still has the chance as a teenager. She says, I've had a very hectic load of life experience quite early on, and I've done so many things and achieved so many things, and my work ethic is insane, yes, but that's what I don't like. Like, why is our work ethic such an important, valuable skill? Why are we valuing ourselves and each other on how hard we work? She says, it seems like I've been working forever. Now, she's 33 years old. So let's put this in a little bit of perspective. Think a lot of yourself. She's 33 years old, but she says, it seems like I've been working forever. I'm already physically and mentally ready to retire. Okay, news to Esther Boyd. Life is long, and so I don't think that's going to happen. But it seems like I've been working forever. I'm already physically and mentally ready to retire. As she told her son, I don't want you to get a job. I don't think it's a smart idea. I want you to enjoy life before you think you just have to work to stay alive. You can work your whole life. Why start now? She says she will happily fund his existence so her son can continue to pursue his interests and hobbies. Video games, whatever that might be. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. Now, I firmly believe that there is, a work-life balance that people need to be aware of. At the same time, I think parents do a huge disservice to their kids by taking this attitude and not helping them develop a work ethic early on. I can't imagine a situation where a parent, I think, should tell a child, don't worry, don't look at getting a job, just stay, enjoy yourself, have fun, you've got the rest of your life to work. Isn't part of getting ready for life developing somewhat of a work ethic. And again, I'm not saying that at the age of 15 or 16 you have to be working 40 hours a week and going to school full time and all that. But is there anything wrong with teenagers getting jobs and working part time? My argument would be, I don't know, I think this makes a much more well-rounded teenager and gets at least, I don't know, gives teenagers, I think, some sort of idea as to what is to come. And maybe by building a work ethic, I think it perhaps helps make them a better person all around. 855-616-1620. What do you think about the parent that tells the kid, don't work, I don't want you to do that, you got to work your entire life, I want you to enjoy your teenage years because, gosh, I'm 33 and I'm already burned out. 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this. Are you ready to play ball? Grab your bat and put on your helmet for virtual baseball with Sandy Max and Steve Scafidi every Friday at 10:35 on WTMJ Now. Compete with other WTMJ listeners.
2 at-bats left. You can do this. It's going to require some big hits, though.
And you could win a WTMJ prize package. It's virtual baseball on WTMJ Now. Brought to you by Signing Unlimited.
Oh, that's me. This is WTMJ's Jeff Wagner for my friends, senior real estate specialists at Bruce's team. If you've been holding off on selling your home or your parents' home in order for them or you to downsize into a condo or a senior community, capitalize on the market while it's still at this unprecedented peak and get top dollar for your home. Look, you really should enjoy the lifestyle you deserve. Now's the time to contact senior real estate specialist Bruce and Jean Nemovitz, taking seniors from overwhelmed to I can do this. Find out how from Bruce and Jean, along with their team of experts, at the long-awaited return of their in-person seminar. Tuesday, September 12th, it's at the Florian in Germantown. The Florian is on Mequon Road, just to the east of 4145 there. Doors open at 8:30 in the morning. I'm going to be there. I've really enjoyed the other ones that I've hosted. I'm going to be there along with many great speakers, including Melinda Stewart, who will talk about the downsizing process, and Governor Martin Schreiber, who will discuss his book, My Two Elaines. He'll be there. The book will be for sale, and that's about navigating Alzheimer's with those you love. Look, the seminar is free, but you do have to register. You do that simply by going to their website, brucesteam.com, or if you want, just give them a call. Give Bruce and Jean a call, 262-242-6177. That's 262-242-6177, and we'll see you September 12th at 8:30 in the morning.
Adopt US Kids presents What to Expect When You're Expecting a Teenager. Learning the lingo.
GOAT, G-O-A-T, acronym, stands for Greatest of All Time. As in, spaghetti sandwiches for dinner? They're my fave. Dad, you're the GOAT.
You don't have to speak teen to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same. Visit adoptuskids.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.
Mr. Clean, Mr. Clean. Of course I use Mr. Clean Magic Eraser to clean tough messes off my stovetop and bathtub. But then I discovered I can also use it to easily clean my patio furniture and even my shoes. I'm hooked.
And when wipes won't cut it, I use Magic Eraser Sheets. They're thin and flexible erasers, perfect for everyday messes, like gunk on my counters and sinks. They really are magical.
The reviews are in. Mr. Clean Magic Eraser and Sheets make cleaning look easy.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Eight 855-616-1620. One of our texters. Well, you know, it's easy for you to say that people should, you only work 3 hours a day. To which my response was, it's always a compliment, because my goal is always to make something that I think is relatively difficult to do seem easy. And if you think it's only 3 hours a day, try it for a couple days when I'm off. But regardless, I think it is important to develop a work ethic early on. I think that's something that, and I look, and I'm not saying that you have to work 40, 50, 60, 70 hours a week when you're 15 or 16. But this mom that says, well, I'm 33 and I'm already burned out. I want my kid to enjoy his teenage years. Well, all right, here's the reality. When the kid gets out of high school or college or whatever, he's going to go to work. And if you have no idea what that's all about, I think you're going to be in many cases in for a rude awakening. I started working when I was 16 years old, and I enjoyed it. I loved the sense of responsibility of, having to be somewhere at a particular time. I loved getting that paycheck every 2 weeks. Matter of fact, it made me really appreciate the value of time and, to a large extent, the value of money. When you say, oh, I'd like to buy this, but then you realize this is how many hours I had to work doing something. I also think sometimes working in crummy jobs is the best thing that can happen to young people because it inspires you to say, okay, I'm going to stay in school or do whatever because I don't necessarily want to do this for the rest of my life. Gianni in Montello, you're in WTMJ. Good afternoon.
Yeah, great topic, Jeff. Listen, I worked through high school as a farm laborer. I think we got paid $3 an hour back in the 70s. But listen, let's forget the work ethic for now. I think it's very important for young people in high school and college to work as soon as possible to begin to earn savings, put that in the bank, and have the money accrue. Now, in the 70s, when interest rates were so high in the late 70s and 80s, I made a lot of money with my work, investing. I don't know what, they were in the double digits years ago. So it's good to work now when you have the energy and save. And over the decades, that money is going to double and double and double. And you may, when you get into your 60s, be able to retire with a nest egg.
Yeah.
So now is the time in your teens to accumulate wealth and a work ethic and save that money. Don't spend it. Get your 5.1 interest rates or invest it in a stock or something. That will make your life easier and you will be able to retire earlier in life.
Well, I think that's, Johnny, obviously a good idea. But look, here's the reality. A lot of 15 and 16 and 17-year-olds, when they're working part-time, they're not thinking about putting that money away to see where is it going to be, 50 years from now. But what they are thinking of is, and I think this is good, this is how long I want to go out on Friday. I want to go out on a date, or I want to buy a car, or if I get to use my parents are going to give me a hand-me-down car, and I'm responsible for paying the insurance. I think, I don't think a lot of people, the kids are thinking about, okay, where am I going to be in 50 years? I know I certainly wasn't. But I was thinking, hey, I like to have a little bit of money in my pocket so I don't have to go to mom and dad and say, gee, I've got a date, or I want to go to the movies, or I want to go out and hang out with my buddies and stuff like that. Can I have $20 or whatever? It was that sort of financial independence that was there. But also, like I was saying a minute ago, one of the things that I think was so great about this is you do get this appreciation for money. And when you understand how hard and how long you have to work to get that money. So you say, okay, well, if dad is just, or mom is just going to giving me the $20 or the $50, okay, that's fine. But I'd have to remember how long I had to work to get that $50. Maybe I don't really need that extra, whatever. Jeff, I was hustling at Rabel's Beach at Freeze Lake, parking cars and working concessions when I was 15 in the summer. I'm grateful for my dad, who was a former Marine, for instilling my work ethic. I've never not worked, and all my employers compliment it. Also, I needed the money for shopping as a teenager. I loved it. Work ethic is dwindling like common sense nowadays. Jeff, I started working part-time at 13 at our local gun club. Cash job, and was great having that money. Never had to say, no, I can't go because I'm broke. Jeff, I got my first job at 14 mucking stall in exchange for riding lessons. I went on to earn a degree in equine management and was the director of a successful summer camp riding program. Those teen jobs gave me life lessons. Yeah, I do think that's one of the other things. The working as a teenager gives you life lessons. First of all, again, maybe it's going to teach you that, you don't want to do this forever. So you want to stay in school. But it teaches you how to how to be responsible, that, you've got to show up when you're on schedule. It teaches you that you have to deal with all sorts of different people, maybe people from different walks of life than yourself. No, I just think, and again, I'm not arguing with the idea that you want to let kids be kids, but at the same time, gee, honey, you can get a part-time job over at the local grocery store bagging groceries, get some pin money, 10 or 15 hours a week, or you can sit on your butt playing video games. I'm sorry. I think, maybe, just maybe, there's still going to be time for the kid to sit on his butt playing video games. Just maybe, that 10 hours of actually, working and doing something constructive. I think there might be an advantage to that. Jeff, I feel sorry for that mom being burned out. You're right. Let the kid have fun when he's out of high school. But at that age, a part-time summer job, either blue collar or white collar, does teach responsibility and does teach, work ethic. I think that there is an element of that. Jeff, my dad gave me a car and paid for my gas in high school because he worked several jobs in high school and missed out on a lot of experiences. The only caveat was that we had to maintain honor roll status, his thought being school should be our primary job, and as long as we did well in school, we shouldn't have to work every day after school. I did work after school jobs for spending money. Right. This isn't, you got to understand, this is the mom saying, I want you to spend all your time studying. That's not it. This is mom saying, I want you to just go play. And I don't want you to have to worry about, doing this summer job. I don't have to worry about this work ethic. Just, play the video games, do whatever you want to do. And I guess that's fine. I just think that this kid is missing out on a lot of experiences because I think if you want to prepare yourself for a responsible adulthood, little bit of work is probably one of those good preparatory things. That's all. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner, WTMJ.
Stick around. Jeff Wagner is right around the corner. We heard that they have been pretty hot lately. It'd be a shame if they burned out.
Swung on, hit in the air, deep into center field. Back on it goes Taylor. Back onto the track, at the wall. It is gone. William Contreras.
The Brewers are at Wrigley for a 3-game series against the Cubs. Our Brewers Radio Network game day coverage starts tonight at 6:30. We are the home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ. This series is sponsored by Steinhaffel's Labor Day Sale.
Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
We want to decrease your pain as fast as possible. When we inject our powerful, FDA-approved anti-inflammatory and cushioning medicine precisely guided to the root of your pain, in most cases, relief in hips, shoulders, elbows, and knees is a reality. For those who go through our entire process, we can very much control and reduce your pain while increasing your quality of life. Thousands of Rejuvenex patients maintain their pain relief with semi-annual to annual treatments, proven to reduce inflammation, to make pain a lot more bearable. Some providers may charge up to $8,000 for similar treatments. At Rejuvenex, because we're in-network with most major insurance plans, including Medicare and Medicaid, your out-of-pocket expense could be as low as $400 or less, or nothing at all. I'm Richard Salinas, registered nurse with Rejuvenex Arthritis Pain Clinics, where you can find pain relief. Really.
Rejuvenex. Alleviate your pain, rejuvenate your life.
Go to rejuvenex.com to request your appointment.
Want to recharge your bank account? At Potawatomi Casino Hotel, power up your play with Power Hour Fridays. Just play your favorite games Friday afternoons this August through September. Win a $10,000 jackpot, and everyone playing slots also wins a prize. Anyone can win on any machine, again and again. Power Hour Fridays, only at Potawatomi, Milwaukee. Visit paysbig.com/power hours for more. Must be 21 years old to play.
This is Matt Meitner, owner of Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Do you find yourself talking to your dog but feel like she's not listening to you?
Bella, sit!
Are you constantly repeating yourself but she's not following your directions?
Sit! Sit!
Frustrating, isn't it? At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we want to help you have a happy, confident, and obedient dog, and we also want to make the training process an enjoyable and worthwhile experience. Contact Sit Means Sit today to schedule a free consultation so we can create a customized training program so you are able to have the dog you want and deserve.
Sit Means Sit Dog Training. Sorry, we don't train husbands, wives, or kids.
You're listening to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
So, very glad to have you with us. All right, another one of these horrible stories. This one out of Jacksonville, Florida. I think you probably heard this. You have a white gunman who shot and killed 3 black victims at a Dollar General store before killing himself on Saturday. They believe he died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound. And I always say this, and whenever you have these murder-suicides, just go ahead and do the suicide. Why do you make the decision that you're going to kill other people? But apparently he entered this Dollar General in Jacksonville Saturday afternoon. I'm not even going to mention the guy's name, wearing a tactical vest and carrying a handgun and a military-style semi-automatic rifle with swastikas marked on it. That might be a tip-off. He targeted a certain group of people, and then he ended up, he was inside the Dollar General for approximately 11 minutes. One of the victims, 52-year-old woman, was shot while she sat in a vehicle parked outside the store. The 2 others were killed inside. The shooter fired several other rounds at other patrons who were inside and at a security camera. The sheriff said that he had purchased both firearms legally this year. They believe that he was not part of a larger group. Okay, well, it's just a horrible, horrible story. But here's where I think the follow-up needs to be. The shooter had no criminal history, but in 2016, so this would have been when he was like 15 or 16, he was named in a domestic disturbance call. And in 2017, he underwent a mental health evaluation and was held for 72 hours before being released. So at the age of 15 or 16, there were all sorts of red flags out there that this guy was troubled. Now, what happens is there's nothing in Florida. They have this thing called the Baker Act, which unless you are actually committed for treatment, the fact that you go through an evaluation doesn't show up on your record. So there's no sort of red flags. But I guess what I think this is where the follow-up needs to be. What was it that happened in 2017 that caused him to undergo this mental health evaluation where he was detained for 3 days? Then, what has gone on since then? Were there other red flags that were out there? Now, I would argue that buying a firearm and then putting swastikas all over it, that would be a pretty big red flag that there's something pretty disturbing going on. And my question would be, did the parents know about this? I believe he was still living at home. Were there other people in the community that knew about this? What were the tip-offs? Because my guess is, just like happens in so many of these other situations where you have these people who are dangerously mentally ill and act out in this violent, hateful manner, there are all sorts of indications that are out there and all sorts of red flags. And I guess the question needs to be, why didn't somebody pick up on this? Because clearly you're not doing anybody a favor by not doing this. What did the parents know? What should the parents have known? What did other people in the community do? What did people in school do? What did people, who came into contact with this? What did they know about this guy? What should they have seen? What should they have said? Because this is part of the key. You need some degree of intervention. The fact that this character was, running around the streets, able to legally purchase firearms. And again, this isn't a gun control debate necessarily. It's why was he out on the street in the first place in a position to act out in this fashion? And I understand it's difficult to try to, predict what somebody could do and what somebody couldn't do. But at least based on the early reports, it shouldn't be surprising, it sounds like, to anyone that this is, what this very, very troubled guy chose to do. Now he's dead. 3 innocent people are dead. And you wonder, should there have been more efforts at intervening early on? And was this something that was preventable? Because a lot of times when you have these mass shootings, in retrospect, everybody says, well, yeah, we knew this guy was a ranting, crazy racist, or this guy was completely mentally disturbed, or whatever. And always the question is, okay, who knew that? And, who kept it to themselves? What did they try to do? Did the system fail by not taking the guy off the street in the first place? That's where I think we really need to start focusing our efforts and trying to figure out, okay, those dangerously mentally ill people among us, how can we, number one, get them the help they need, and number two, get them off the streets while they are getting the help that they need. And until we grapple with those two things, unfortunately, I think we're always going to be having to deal with these horrible situations like happened over the weekend. All right, when we come back, it's a slogan, but is it something more? I will explain. We will discuss.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Don't miss out on the Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. Our entire showroom of heirloom quality furniture is on sale. Enjoy an unprecedented 37% off Norwalk furniture, as well as 40% off Bradenton Young and Hooker furniture. Create a sofa or chair as unique as you are with our thousands of customizable upholstery options. If you want spectacular discounts on their heirloom quality furniture, shop the Labor Day sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. Do you love the simplicity and enduring quality of Scandinavian design? Then the Fjords Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture is for you. Inspired by tradition and built to last, Fjords brings the best modern Norwegian furniture designed to your home. Save up to 20% on these ergonomic recliners engineered with comfort in mind. Available in a variety of shapes, sizes, leathers, and finishes to match any decor. Stop in today during our Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. Sale ends soon.
Vince Vitrano here for Connect Chiropractic. I've had chiropractic care on and off my entire adult life. I can tell you Dr. Alex and his team at Connect Chiropractic do it different. No twisting, no cracking, no popping. At Connect Chiropractic, they use a special tool for adjustments focused on restoring nerve and muscle function. It's not just making your neck and back feel better, although mine already do. Connect Chiropractic can help with headaches, sciatica, vertigo, and more. Schedule an appointment now at GoConnectChiro.com. Tell them Vinny sent you. GoConnectChiro.com.
Looking to do something new with your savings? Get old with a money market account from Old National Bank and earn a 5.15% annual percentage yield. Whatever you're saving for, Old National is here to put your money to work today. Earn 5.15% APY with our 9-month introductory money market offer valid through September 30th, 2023. To earn the promotional rate, account must be funded with a minimum of $10,000 out on deposit at Old National as of July 31st, 2023 within 15 days of account opening. Learn more at oldnational.com or visit a local banking center today. Member FDIC. Old National Bank. Get old.
Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
I am curious as to your reaction to this story. If you've been following college football over the last several years has been going through, really a sea change, and the Pacific Coast Conference is just imploding. And what's happening is, in an effort to chase money, you have teams that are switching leagues, and now you have a couple of super conferences. The Big Ten, what is the Big Ten? The Big Ten's going to have like 18 teams or something like that. So you're going to have a couple just super conferences that are out there, and all these other smaller conferences are just falling apart. And it's just kind of the nature of things. So Texas, and of course, if you have ever spent any time in Texas, you know that football is king down there, whether it's, the high school football, Friday night lights and all that stuff, or, Saturday football at the different colleges, starting with the University of Texas. It's just huge. Well, the University of Texas is leaving the Big 12. Where are they going? The SEC, I think. But they're leaving the Big 12 this year, and they're getting a lot of criticism from other teams in the conference who believe that they are bailing out and they're responsible for, the demise of the Big 12 conference. So the team this year has unveiled their slogan and their T-shirt to kind of deal with the environment that they're getting, because they find themselves, again, they're viewed as traitors to the Big 12 conference, and the school is leaving, et cetera, et cetera. So the motto for their team, as announced by their head football coach, is embrace the hate. Embrace the hate. He says that that the team's mission was to make their final season in the Big 12 Conference one to remember. He talked about how the team had to have a John Wick mentality. John Wick, of course, being the Keanu Reeves character in all the different movies. He says, this is the coach, I think they've kind of assumed the mentality of embrace the hate. We get it. We're the University of Texas. We get it. This is our last year in the Big 12. We can sit there and be a punching bag, or we can go attack the people that we're going to play. And I think they have assumed that responsibility to say, hey, we're going to go after everybody else too. I think that's the right mentality to have. We're the University of Texas. Nobody likes us. That's okay. We embrace the hate. We'll be ready to rock and roll on Saturday at 2:30. All right. So he says, this is our motto. This is our slogan. Embrace the hate. Now, as you might expect, you've got a lot of people out there saying, how dare you consider something like this? This is terrible. Don't you understand that this could potentially have like racial connotations to this? It could be a white supremacist message. Somebody is saying, you're the flagship University of Texas. You have to do better. It's not good. I'm not proud of this. The American Association of Professors responded by saying, exactly who at the University of Texas authorized this literally hateful use of the Longhorn brand, asking for all faculty working to instill a positive learning community in our classes and on campus. Surely there are better ways to show Texas pride. Our number, 855-616-1620. All right, the context is, all right, everybody's out to get us. Everybody's mad at us. Everybody's dissing us. Our philosophy for the football team is to embrace that hate. All right, we're going to take that and we're going to channel it and we're going to go out and win. All right, is this an offensive slogan? Or is this political correctness run amok? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Major phone carriers make you sign contracts with rigid data plans to trap you into a kind of forced phonogamy. Sounds pretty insecure if you ask me. At Consumer Cellular, we believe in a more consensual and healthy form of phonogamy, free of contracts and more flexible to your data needs. This way, you stick around not because we force you to with contracts and fees, but because you love our phone plans. Like ardently love our phone plans. Phonogamously. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Did you know you can get your prescriptions for less at your local pharmacy? You can with GoodRx. It's the free app that can save you money on your medications. Just search for your prescription, choose the pharmacy and the price that works best for you, and then show your GoodRx coupon to your pharmacist at the drop-off counter. GoodRx works at over 70,000 pharmacies, including Walmart, Rite Aid, and Walgreens, and it works whether you have insurance or not. It's easy to save. Next time you drop off your prescription, check GoodRx. To start saving today, go to GoodRx.com. GoodRx is not insurance.
Roofing and exterior work are really tough jobs, and at Semper Fi, we're proud of our people. And when you work with great people, you deliver great results.
We keep you safe, warm, and dry, Semper Fi.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here for Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, a group of doctors I trusted with my knee surgery. The pain was real and options were important. My experience with each doctor was thorough, the appointments were timely, always close and easy access to the building. My mom felt the same way, I know, when she went there for her physical therapy appointments at Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. I trusted their surgical team for my knee surgery, and I know they'll take care of you the way they did my mom and me. Make an appointment at orthowisconsin.com.
Welcome back to Ask Hasselus.
Know any good jokes?
Sure. Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sorry, Hasselus Mattress is employee-free, so nobody's here to answer the door.
No employees?
Try and buy with no pushy sales guy.
Are you joking?
Plus, through Monday, get a $200 MasterCard Rewards gift card with the purchase of a Beauty Rest, Sealy Posturepedic, or Serta Perfect Sleeper.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Sorry, not home. I'm at Hasselus Mattress.
Find an employee-free showroom near you at Hasselus.com.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Samantha, do you know how many teams are in the Big Ten? Now, normally 10. Would you think 10? No, haven't been 10 for a while. Since 2014, the Big Ten has consisted of 14 members, and next year they're supposed to have 4 new member institutions. So the Big Ten is going to be 18. It's just well, and what's going on in college football is you have everybody's chasing the money, and you have these deals that are coming along, and you have power conferences, and the Big Ten would be one, the Southeast Conference would be another, and Texas and Oklahoma, which have been arguably the two best teams for years in the South, in the Big 12. They're leaving and they're going over to the SEC, and this is their last year. And so you have a lot. They're still playing in the Big 12. So you have a lot of the teams that are remaining who are angry at Oklahoma and Texas for leaving. And so there's a lot of vitriol. A lot of people are really upset. And so Texas's motto this year is embrace the hate. Now, I've always believed that context is important. What does that motto refer to? Does it refer to, I don't know, some shooting somewhere, embrace the hate? No. What they're saying is all these other teams hate us, and we want you to channel that. We want you to embrace that hate, turn it around, use it for victories. So, take all that hostility that's being sent our way. And, of course, there's some people who are just absolutely appalled by that. Are you offended by that slogan? Should you be offended by that? John in Cedarburg. John, you're first. Hello.
Hello. I think the solution for the University of Texas is, instead of the slogan, embrace the hate, change it to embrace the dislike.
Okay. I'm not sure that why? Because it's just a little bit tempered down a little bit. So because hate's such a charged word.
Exactly. So just change hate to dislike.
Well, I think thanks for. I'm not sure that has the same impact. Embrace the hate versus embrace the dislike. I look. Here's the bottom line. I argue repeatedly. You've got to take into account context. What is this saying? Is this something? Is the background of this directed at a white supremacist march? Is that what this is, or is this something different? First of all, it's football. Okay, let's understand. And I appreciate that there's parts of this country that football is like a religion, but this is it's football. It's something that's designed to motivate the team. Everybody's out to get you. Everybody hates you. Embrace that hate. Use it. Channel that into something positive. Come on. At some point in time, I think you have to have. I think you have to have some perspective on this. And again, I think context is important. One of our texters said, Jeff, I think this is absolutely brilliant. Another one says, I think it's pretty funny and catchy. However, they may regret it when they're getting mopped up in the SEC. That's it. It's Texas. It's fine. I understand all that. But other people are saying, hey, it's just, it's kind of demeaning. This is just a terrible sort of thing. At some point in time, you got to consider context. And I think what happens with this is if people are upset by this, I'm not sure they're going to be Texas football fans to begin with. You just got to look at context. And that's my only point. In a different context, if you have embraced the hate and you're showing up at a KKK rally, well, of course that's inappropriate. There's no question about it. But understanding what this means and understanding how it's used, my guess is this is going to be a huge seller. My guess is maybe there's going to be some people that wring their hands about this. But at the end of the day, I guess that this motto is going to, unless there's all sorts of outside pressure brought on the team, my guess is this will just fuel even more people saying, there's all these people that are out to get us here. This is how we're going to respond to it. Now, what kind of season they're going to have, that's a different story. Back with more in just a minute. This is Jeff Wagner.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
No, he's not going to put you in the lineup. But luckily, this is the closest you can get to the skipper himself.
I mean, Robin is the all-time Brewer for sure.
Greg Council, every Tuesday on Wisconsin's Morning News at 7:45.
Willie is, I think a player that, is capable of taking down some of the things that Robin has done.
This is Brewers 360, presented by Holiday Automotive and Outdoor Living Unlimited.
I'd been living with a snoring problem nearly my entire life. In fact, I can remember my mother teasing me, saying that I'd snore so loudly that the walls of our house would cave in with each breath.
Fast forward only recently, when Jessica's snoring forced her husband out of their bed and into another room. It's a pretty common situation. We call it a sleep divorce, and that's not good. I'm Dr. Madan Kandula with Advent. After Jessica had a thorough breathing triangle evaluation, we found that her snoring problem required a simple solution. In-office balloon sinuplasty. It's a 20-minute procedure, and it works. You won't find it offered by big box healthcare, but you will find it at Advent, where we offer every effective snoring and sleep apnea solution available. You can hear more of Jessica's story at adventknowsjessica.com and take your first step towards breathing well so you can live better.
Breathe well with simple solutions. AdventKnows.com.
Results may vary. Gillette Intimate gives guys a gentle and easy shave. Don't treat yourself like junk. Respect it with Gillette Intimate, the best a man can get. Buy now at a retailer near you.
This week's home improvement experts are senior realtor experts Bruce and Jean Nimovitz.
Where are we putting that money, and why are we putting it there? At Financial Strategies, you'll get answers to those questions to understand our approach. And the answers are going to be based on what we've learned about you. We're very engaged with our clients so that what we do for them fits their particular needs. But there are other things that we do that are equally important to the investment management portion of our services. I can't express how important it is to control the things you can control. At the end of the day, most investment managers will end up yielding similar overall returns. But knowing how to manage them wisely to avoid your nest egg being eaten away by the tax man, all legally of course, well, that's what I truly believe sets us apart. This is Jim Cantrell with Financial Strategies, Inc., and we can show you a wiser way to build your wealth. So go to financialstrategiesinc.com and schedule a no-cost consultation.
Financial strategies, a wiser way to build your wealth.
WTMJ, W277CV, and WKTI HD2 Milwaukee from the Annex Wealth Management Studios. This is News Radio WTMJ, a Good Karma brand station.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
There is a story in the Washington Post that actually makes me feel better about a couple decisions and sort of life decisions. That the headline of the story is, "Enough with the bucket list. Embrace the chuck it list." And actually, there might be another word that describes it. So what's the chuck it list? Okay, so for many people, we have bucket list things that you want to do before you die, right? Places that you want to go, things. For example, I have on my wife's bucket list, she's never been to Washington, D.C. And so I used to go there all the time in another life. So this May, my niece is graduating from law school out there. We're going to take a few days. We're going to Washington, D.C. So we're going to do that. That's on her bucket list. For my bucket list, a trip, I've never been to upstate New York. I've never been to the Baseball Hall of Fame in Cooperstown. And from mid-July through August, they run horse racing at Saratoga, which is one of the oldest, most fabulous tracks in the country. Want to go there. Fran's never been to Niagara Falls. So we're going to do a bucket list trip. we're going with some friends who grew up in upstate New York, and we'll figure it out. But a few days and fly into wherever we fly into, rent a car and drive around and do those. Those are on my bucket list things. There's been other stuff, and I'm going to achieve that. I'm going to do it. There's been other stuff on the bucket list that I've always thought. For example, I always thought I'd like to learn to play the guitar. I've always thought. Now, I have no musical talent. When they were handing out musical talent, I was not around. But I always thought, well, if I worked really hard enough, maybe I could learn how to do this. And maybe, when I get some more time, maybe I'll take lessons and stuff. But recently it has occurred to me that, that's just never going to happen, because there's other things that I would like to do with my spare time, if I have more of it, than kind of learn to play the guitar. And the truth is, I'm never going to be that good at it because I have no musical talent. So that's on my chuck it list. It's like, all right, always thought I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. Boom, I'm not going to do it. It's now moved from my bucket list to my chuck it list. Now, another one, I want, it's still on my bucket list. Once I get some more time, I would like to become proficient in one or more foreign languages. And at an advanced age, I understand that that's a little bit more difficult, but I'm still thinking maybe I can do that just so I would like to be able to speak other languages, with some degree of fluency. That's still, one of my goals that's there, but I'm not sure how ultimately realistic that is. But anyhow, here's this story. On my father's 75th birthday, this is what they write, he announced some news. He no longer intended to learn Spanish. He told me that for most of his life, he imagined he would one day speak the language fluently. But this year, at his new age and vantage point, he was giving up the goal. He seemed a little melancholy about it, but mostly relieved that he no longer had this piñata of shame hanging over his head. Best of all, he adopted the idea that it was very liberating. He said learning Spanish, he told me, was now an item on his chuck it list. Full disclosure, my dad's name for this list is a little saltier. Bucket lists can be fun and inspirational. They encourage us to chase new experiences like learning chess or going on an African safari. But let's face it, they can also be oppressive, irritating reminders that you can't do this. As a philosopher of well-being, I can tell you that philosophers tend to divide into three camps on the subjects. Some who think well-being is all about good feelings, objectivists who believe we live well when we achieve things with a value, and then others who think well-being means fulfilling your goals. To me, I think for a lot of us that are out there that have had, I've always wanted to do this, at some point in time, it's kind of freeing to say, you know what, I've always thought I wanted to play the guitar, but I ain't never going to do that. So I'm comfortable with that. I've now put that aside. Do I regret that I'm never going to play the guitar? Okay, well, that's fine. I will enjoy people who know how to do it, and I'll concentrate on some of the other things that might be more doable. So this is my advice. If you've got all this stuff on your bucket list and you're getting more and more frustrated that, you haven't done this or haven't accomplished that or whatever, maybe the answer is just move that bad boy over to the chuck it list. You might find yourself a lot happier. You'll never be able to play the guitar maybe, but at the end of the day, there will be other stuff that will be out there that you can do. Back with lots more after the top of the hour news. Don't go anywhere. This is Jeff Wagner.
More Jeff Wagner right after this.
It's ESPN Wisconsin's Greg Scalzo for Smart Spaces. How can Smart Spaces transform your business?
Really looking at the entire space holistically. The environment, the walls, ceilings, lighting, flooring, furniture, technology, along with acoustics.
To conceptualize how the end users are going to interact with the room, from the furniture all the way down to the AV, having that work seamlessly within the environment and often hiding within the furniture.
Let Smart Spaces transform your business today. Visit smartspaceswi.com.
I know you have a great dog, right? But you know there's room for improvement. At Sit Means Sit Dog Training, we can help. Our attention-based training system uses modern technology to help you better communicate with your dog, even in high distraction. When you schedule a free consultation with us, you will have the opportunity to see our training in action and meet for yourself our happy dogs off leash and under control. Contact Sit Means Sit today at 262-361-3641 or find us on the web at sitmeansitwaukesha.com to schedule your free consultation so you can have a happy, confident, and obedient dog.
The place you want to go, Lynch McWanago.
Nobody sells for less than Lynch.
Nothing like a late summer dust-up with an old foe.
On the ground, left side, tough play! Safe! Ball game over!
The I-94 rivalry heats up as the Brewers travel south for a clash with the Cubs.
The Cubs get their hearts broken again.
The Brewers-Cubs series is sponsored by Steinhaffel's Labor Day Sale. Coverage gets underway beginning at 6 p.m. tonight. We are your home of the Brewers. 620 WTMJ, Milwaukee.
201, we have 75 degrees, sunshine today, a high of 80, and an overnight low tonight of 63. From the WTMJ Breaking News Center, I'm Connie Weber. Former President Trump's federal 2020 election interference case is set to start next spring in the middle of the Republican presidential primaries. The Obama-appointed judge today scheduled the trial to start on March 4th, 2024, the day before Super Tuesday. In Florida, 2 dead after a Broward County Sheriff's Department helicopter crashed into an apartment building in Pompano Beach. Sheriff Gregory Tony says the chopper was in trouble right after takeoff.
They were, mayday and putting out the distress within 2 minutes. And throughout that time, they even still had the foresight to notify the local fire department that we weren't going to be able to land and that they needed to be able to get there and rescue these people.
2 other people were injured in the crash. One of the country's biggest airlines now being handed the biggest fine ever for keeping passengers on planes stuck on tarmacs for too long.
American Airlines is being handed $4.1 million in fines from the Department of Transportation for 43 flights between 2018 and 2021 that were stuck on tarmacs for hours without giving passengers a chance to get off. Over 5,000 passengers were impacted on those flights. The DOT says on one of the 43 flights, passengers were not given water or food as required. American says it was a very small number out of all of its flights over those years, and that most were due to bad weather in Dallas. Alex Stone, EBC News.
In Milwaukee, an 11-year-old boy was badly hurt after he was hit by a vehicle on the city's north side. TMJ4's Megan Lee has more from Hoyt and Fond du Lac.
11-year-old Kamani Washington tells me he was out riding his bike with his friend on West Fond du Lac Avenue when cars started racing down the road.
He went flying up in the air.
Like many, Laretha James is fed up with the speeding in her neighborhood.
Where are they going? In a hurry? Nowhere. It's every day.
She has a message for the driver as well.
Turn yourself in. That's what you can do. Because it's going to hunt them. Hitting a baby? Come on now.
With a silly string in hand, Kamani has one last thought to share.
Everybody just pray for this man, bro, because he did not deserve this.
The Milwaukee Fire Department did confirm the child was taken to Freighter Hospital and is in critical condition.
Back to school for UW Milwaukee students. Nearly 4,000 will move into the dorms tomorrow. UWM says this is the first time in 3 years all 4 residence halls will be open to students and their families due to COVID and dorm renovations. Potawatomi Casino Hotel estimated to have earned around $415 million from gamblers over the past year. The Journal Sentinel's calculations indicate just a 1.7% increase in revenue for the casino year to year. That comes as the casino continues its $100 million third-floor renovation project and an ongoing rollout of sports betting. Memo to Packers fans, keep quiet when the offense has the ball. The team reminding Packers nations when to get loud at Lambeau Field.
During Saturday's preseason win over the Seahawks, the PA announcer at Lambeau Field told fans to stop doing the wave.
It is loud. Fans get crazy.
Former offensive lineman Mark Tauscher tells Wisconsin's Morning News that fans need to pick their spots.
You can get as excited as you want. Let's do it after we score a touchdown. Let's not do it so we get a false start.
But 101.7 The Truth's Telly Hughes, a former sports reporter, says players can handle the noise.
Is that really distracting? A 6'4", 320-pound guy running at me at full speed is a little more distracting than the wave.
Eric Bilstad, WTMJ News.
Time for news about your money. At the WTMJ Annex Wealth Management Market Update, the Dow is up 158 points, S&P 500 up 20, and the Nasdaq Composite up 88. Get on track with investment and retirement planning. Visit annexwealth.com and click the Get Started button today. Sports, traffic, and weather are next. Sighting and limited, WTMJ News Time 2:04.
Hey, boaters!
Well, if you have an old boat, new boat, or in between, then Kendor Marine is a great place for you to shop. Because not only do we have all the parts and accessories you need for almost any kind of boat, we also have the expert advice that just about any boater is one day gonna need. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com. At Kendor Marine, we have everything you need but the water. For over 50 years, boaters have found that to be true. Because when they've needed that old part they thought they'd never find, guess what? They found it here, along with everything else you need to keep your boat out there on the water. This is Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey boaters, cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Don't miss out on the Labor Day sale at Ken Michaels Furniture. Our entire showroom of heirloom quality furniture is on sale. Enjoy an unprecedented 37% off Norwalk furniture, as well as 40% off Bradenton Young and Hooker furniture. Create a sofa or chair as unique as you are with our thousands of customizable upholstery options. If you want spectacular discounts on their heirloom quality furniture, shop the Labor Day sale now at Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, and downtown Milwaukee. There's no doubt that a better night's sleep makes for better days, and a good quality mattress helps make it happen. When you buy your new Milwaukee mattress from Ken Michaels Furniture, you are assured of a mattress made individually for you out of the finest materials right from our own Milwaukee factory. We make every style, size, and firmness of mattress imaginable. And with our factory direct prices, you will save hundreds of dollars. Milwaukee mattresses from Ken Michaels Furniture in Brookfield, Greenfield, or downtown Milwaukee, where better days come from a great night's sleep.
Time for a WTMJ Sports Update. The Brewers swept the Padres to win the weekend series 10-6, keeping them in first place in the NL Central and 4 games ahead of the Chicago Cubs. Brew Crew take on the Cubs for a new series starting tonight in Chicago at 7:05 p.m. Our coverage begins at 6 right here on WTMJ. Packers were also big winners this weekend in their final preseason game with a 19-15 win over the Seattle Seahawks at Lambeau. And NASCAR returned to the Milwaukee Mile at Wisconsin's State Fair Park for the first time in 14 years. Alabama native Grant Enfinger took home the checkered flag. Time for a look at your roads now with your Johnson & Sons Paving Time Saver traffic. No major delays to report this hour either. 94 from the zoo to Highway 16 running about 10 minutes, and downtown to the zoo just about a 5-minute drive this afternoon.
Traffic is sponsored by the amazing Mineshaft Restaurant in downtown Hartford.
The successful Mineshaft Restaurant in Hartford is hiring an experienced bar manager with income upwards of $60,000 a year and always busy. Inquire today, start next week.
Your WTMJ 5-day forecast. After a high today of 80, we're looking for an overnight low of 63. There is a chance of showers late tonight and into the morning tomorrow. Partly cloudy Tuesday with a high 76. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, sunshine. Wednesday's high 72. Thursday looking at 77. It's going to be pretty warm on Friday with a high of 88. Right now, Madison 77, Green Bay 77, and Milwaukee 75 degrees. I'm Connie Weber, Siding Unlimited, WTMJ News Time 2:08.
Live from the Annex Wealth Management Studios at the Avenue, it's the Jeff Wagner Show. Now, here's WTMJ's Jeff Wagner.
Good afternoon, Wisconsin. Welcome back to the show. Once again, if you want to watch us, you can do that. We have our own YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and then put in WTMJ, and you can stream all our programs live. A number of people do that. You can also download the podcasts. That's very, very cool. I know a number of you do that. And however you listen to or watch the program, we very, very much appreciate it. All right. The final Jeopardy answer is 1972. 1972. Now, I don't want to make that too difficult because there's a lot of stuff that happened in 1972. Trust me, if you weren't alive in 1972, a lot of stuff happened in 1972. All right? So for those of us who were alive in 1972, there's all sorts of things that are running through our head. So I want to give you a clue to the final Jeopardy answer, which is 1972. Samantha, let's give them the clue. Okay, Samantha, that would be the cue where we want to play that. Yes, that is my clue. 1972. Now you don't have to call in. 1972, that, of course, is the theme music for The Price is Right, the game show, which is still on. So what happened in 1972 with The Price is Right. 1972 is when Bob Barker took over as the host of The Price is Right. And Bob Barker served as the host of The Price is Right for a virtually unprecedented 35 years. He retired in 2007, and The Price is Right has been on for continued with Drew Carey, who's been the host of that. In 2002, after hosting The Price is Right for 29 years, 7 months, and 22 days, he broke Johnny Carson's record for the longest continuing performance on the same network television show. He received a Lifetime Achievement Emmy Award for Daytime TV in 1999, inducted into the Academy of Television Arts and Sciences Hall of Fame in 2004. The studio at CBS Television City in Los Angeles, where The Price is Right was produced, was named after him in 1998. By the time he retired from The Price is Right in 2007, Barker had won 14 Daytime Emmy Awards as a host. My guess is, if you were a kid growing up, during, any time, actually, 2007 and before, and you're homesick, one of the things you do is you sit there and you watch The Price is Right, which was an incredibly ubiquitous show. Now, why are we talking about The Price is Right and Bob Barker? It's because Bob Barker passed away over the weekend at the age of 99 years old. And he'd been retired, like I say, for the last 16 years or so. A lot of people maybe know him from the scene, great comedy scene in the movie Happy Gilmore, which perhaps expanded his reach and stuff. But Bob Barker, just an incredible performer who had to be able to do anything, on television for 35 years. And maintain that level of success. I mean, the typical TV show lasts a couple years, and then it ends. And even, there's a couple game shows that have had, had lots of success. Jeopardy would be one, and Jeopardy is forever kind of linked with Alex Trebek. But The Price is Right and Bob Barker, that would be certainly another one. And while there's other game shows, Pat Sajak and Wheel of Fortune, you can count the number of game shows that have had that kind of longevity with one particular host. You can pretty much count them on one hand. Like I say, Jeopardy with Alex Trebek, The Price is Right with Bob Barker, Pat Sajak and Wheel of Fortune. Other than that, I don't know that too many come to mind. Family Feud is real popular now, but Family Feud's had all sorts of different iterations, and they've had all sorts of different hosts over the time, starting with Richard Dawson, and now it's Steve Harvey. But Bob Barker had something about him that just had an incredible appeal to people, as well as the game. All right, I understand this is something kind of completely different, but as somebody who's just fascinated by pop culture, I want to spend a segment. Our number is 855-616-1620. That's the Old National Bank talk and text line. What was it, in your opinion, about Bob Barker that made that show so successful and that made him so successful? 855-616-1620. What was the magic? And there was a degree of magic. You don't survive doing daytime TV for 35 years unless there's something special about you and about the program. And whatever that was, Bob Barker had it. And keep in mind, before Bob Barker took over on The Price is Right, he had hosted Truth or Consequences for years before that. 855-616-1620. All right, what was it about the now late Bob Barker that just had such an every person appeal? 855-616-1620. We discuss in just a moment.
Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
Everything you need to know on your way home.
Former Governor Tommy Thompson.
You run as a Republican, you run as a Democrat. But once you win, join the W Party. Join the winning party.
Wisconsin's Afternoon News with John McCure.
I'm joined by Wisconsin U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin and Arizona Senator Mark Kelly.
And Greg Metzik.
Take the smoke away a little bit, kind of makes it not as smoky as the original, but the smoke flavor profile is definitely still there.
Weekdays from 3 to 6 on WTMJ.
I want to welcome a new partner to the program, Gruber Law Offices. I told this story last week. David Gruber and I, we were in law school at the same time together, and I've really, watched with great interest and admiration the way that law firm has developed over the years. Gruber Law Firm has been serving the people in the state of Wisconsin for 35 years, making a difference and helping others in the community. They help people and families who are seriously injured in accidents. They stand up for victims. They take the burden off your shoulders, and they focus on the legal aspect while their clients focus on healing. It's just one call, and they'll handle the rest. Providing the best care and service and representation is their priority. Now, Gruber Law Offices is one of the largest personal injury firms in the Midwest, but they're family-owned and operated. They're large, but they have a powerful team with resources to take on insurance companies. They get results that speak for themselves. And here's something that's important to remember. There's no fee. There's no cost to call, consult, and retain their firm. There's never a fee until they win your case. If you want more information about Gruber Law Offices, you can visit them at gruber-law.com to learn more about the firm, in addition to what they do in the community, or you can give them a call, 414-276-6666. Gruber Law Offices, I've been waiting for a long time to say this, one call, that's all.
According to the U.S. debt clock, our debt is over $32 trillion and climbing. The question is, how do we pay it off? One of the most likely answers is increasing taxes. Now think about your retirement accounts. Do you want to pay taxes on some of that money now when rates are historically low, or later when rates are potentially higher? At Drake & Associates, we can help you create a plan so your retirement is tax efficient as possible. If you'd like to continue your education, we have our Retirement Ready Toolkit, which includes guides on retirement tax savings. To receive this complimentary toolkit, call or text TAX to 414-409-9982. That's calling or texting TAX to 414-409-9982. When taxes go up, will you be ready? Call or text now.
Investment advisory services provided by Drake & Associates, LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Insurance products are offered through a separate company, Loft Financial Advisory Group, LLC, a Wisconsin insurance agency. Clients are under no obligation to purchase any recommended insurance products.
Get the help you need Saturday morning with How To Radio. At 7, it's the WTMJ Fix-It Show with David Nason, featuring great tips on how to operate your home. At 9, plan your dream vacation with the Fox World Travel Show. At 10, get financial guidance during Money Talk. Contact Annex Wealth Management for an unbiased review of your investments at annexwealth.com. How To Radio, Saturday mornings on WTMJ.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Touched a nerve on the text line. Our number 855-616-1620. Over the weekend, Bob Barker passed away at the age of 99. Bob Barker was the star of the CBS show The Price is Right from 1972 until he retired in 2007. We went through all the different awards he made, and still, I mean, 16 years later, at least for I think most of us, when you think of The Price is Right, and I know Drew Carey's been hosting it since then, you think of The Price is Right, you think of Bob Barker. There was something special about that. Here's some of our text. Jeff, Bob Barker seemed like a genuinely nice guy who would chat to anybody without seeming aloof. He was part of that genius. That was part of the genius behind his appearance in Happy Gilmore, which painted a very different image of him in a comic way. Jeff, Bob's magic was kind, good-natured personality. Jeff, he was likable. He was handsome. And the appeal of getting free stuff always appeals to people. Well, that's the beauty of the game, The Price is Right. And also, I think, unlike Jeopardy, where you have to know stuff, like lots of stuff to win, The Price is Right it's kind of, I saw in reading one of the Bob Barker reviews, it's very, very populist. All you have to know is have an idea as to how much stuff costs. And if you have an idea of how much stuff costs, you can play that game. You don't have to, the Jeopardy category is the Bible for 20, and you go, I haven't read the Bible in a long time. It had that appeal. Jeff, Bob Barker was everybody's dad, kind, compassionate, caring, but also authentic. Jeff, it's called charisma. Charisma is what he had. He got everybody to start fixing their animals. We didn't have any more out on the streets, so he was wonderful. Fantastic sense of humor. He knew how to talk to people, and he was very, very charismatic. Yeah, I think there is certainly an element of that. Jeff, Bob Barker did not make himself bigger than the show. Jeff, I think it was like having your grandpa there, and not your creepy old grandpa, but the grandpa that you liked a lot. There was that appeal as well. Let's see. Bob Barker again had charisma, but it sure helped that The Price is Right pays a lot of higher priced winnings. Well, I think it was an appeal of the show. Jeff, he was the Mr. Rogers of game show hosts. Yes, he was the Mr. Rogers of game show hosts. Yeah, Jeff, too bad you couldn't have held up a product and had your YouTube audience guess the price. Yeah, see, we could have gone that visual aid route there. He was the Mr. Rogers of game show hosts. And this is spoken from the perspective of somebody, and we talk about this, I embrace this. This is somebody who views himself as the evil Mr. Rogers of radio talk show. So we all share that. For those of you who haven't heard that story, matter of fact, I was talking to this about somebody at this event I was at over the weekend. About 10 or 11 years ago, when Talkers Magazine first decided to recognize the show as being one of the most 100 important shows in the talk shows in the country, however they determined that, one of the liberal websites said that Jeff Wagner, he's the evil Mr. Rogers because you listen to him and he seems smart and he seems agreeable, and you find yourself going, yeah. And suddenly you realize he sucked you in and you find yourself agreeing to this position. He's the evil Mr. Rogers. So, Bob Barker wasn't the evil Mr. Rogers, but those of us who relate to Mr. Rogers in that way, we can certainly appreciate that. I just think, I think what Bob Barker had, and I think what people still respect, we live in a coarser world nowadays, and that's the internet has led to that, and we're very, very tribal. And I can't tell you how many, for example, texts I get about something that has no relationship at all to politics, and somebody will say, "Well, this is like Trump doing that, or this is like Biden doing that." This inability to be able to separate stuff. And so you have to see it all through your political prisms or whatever. And I'm not suggesting that politics isn't important or interesting or things like that. Lord knows I would never do that. I make a living talking about current events, including politics. But I think, Bob Barker was one of these people that, you turn on that show and the only preaching you're going to get is go out and take care of your pets. That was the spay or neuter your pets. That was as much as it got, and I think it was a respite from a lot of the other stuff that goes on, and that's where the appeal came from. It's one of the reasons why every year, if you look at like stuff that's watched, it's one of the reasons behind the success of the Hallmark Channel, and we talk about that every Christmas. The fact that people just like to decompress. It's like, all right, we're going to watch the Hallmark Channel because, we want to watch those new Christmas movies because we know how they're going to turn out. We understand what the plot line is going to be, and we know that the boy is going to get the girl or the girl is going to get the boy, and we know that they're going to save the Christmas store in the small town. We know how it all turns out, but nevertheless, it's something that's kind of reassuring that you see this. One of the reasons why Bob Barker was so successful is I think one of the reasons the Hallmark Channel is so successful. There's a lot of people who just want that type of entertainment and are looking for it. So Bob Barker, the host of The Price is Right, passing away at the age of 99. Sail on.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Now batting for the Brewers Radio Network, play-by-play announcer Lane Grindle.
It does sound like a totally freak thing. But we've seen that at times over the years, different injuries that have popped up. The best bat in Major League Baseball, one of the very few elite arms. He's in a very rare class when it comes to that. It's going to be entertaining over the next couple of weeks. I'm interested to see what the Brewers do.
Lane Grindle joins Wisconsin's Afternoon News every Monday during the Brewers' 2023 campaign. Payne.
Russ bought his first home in Wisconsin with a mortgage from Accunet when today's college freshmen were still in diapers. A few Friday mornings ago, Russ emailed saying he and his wife were ready to buy their forever home. And by 4 o'clock, we were all on a conference call with their real estate agent talking about what it would take to write a winning offer in today's inventory-starved market. And then it happened. They met their dream home face-to-face Saturday afternoon and wrote an offer $15,000 over asking, accompanied by an Accunet property-specific pre-approval letter that guaranteed they could make good on that offer without selling their existing home first and without requiring an appraisal. That's right, no appraisal required, which both the listing agent and seller loved. I can't promise your very first offer will be accepted like Russ and Julie's, but I will promise Accunet can help you and your agent craft the most attractive offer possible. Hey, don't settle for a flimsy, unimaginative bank pre-approval. Get started with your rock-solid, guaranteed pre-approval by clicking on the blue button today at accunet.com.
Life is just getting started at Three Pillars, Wisconsin's top-rated continuing care retirement community. Located on 300 beautiful Lake Country acres, Three Pillars is taking reservations for new high-end active adult residences. With 4 styles to choose from and amenities like a supper club, fitness center, spa, pub, dog park, trails, and gardens galore. The choice is easy as you start your next adventure. Learn more at threepillars.org.
I'm coming.
Hi, Mark Tauscher. Tausch, you have mosquitoes in here.
It's like an insect zoo right now at my house. Here comes that wasp again. Incoming.
Shoo, you need Pella's 250 series of windows with exclusive hidden screens, protecting you from nature.
Yes, please. Pella Windows and Doors of Wisconsin to the rescue.
Get a 250 series patio door and 8 double-hung windows with hidden screens as low as $188 per month. PellaWI.com. Certain restrictions apply. See showroom for details. Offer ends 8/31/23.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Oh, I took a wrong turn. It was the right turn, my turn to have me a ball. Boys at the shop told me just where to stop if I wanted to play for it all. But I didn't know I'd find her on daytime TV. My whole world lies waiting behind door number 3. I chose my apparel, I wore a beer barrel, and they rolled me to the very first row. I held a big sign that said, "Kiss me, I'm a baker in Monty, I sure need the dough." Then I grabbed that sucker by the throat until he called on me. 'Cause my whole world lies waiting behind door number 3.
As long as we're talking about, now, of course, that's, Samantha, that's Jimmy Buffett, and that's Let's Make a Deal. The old Monty Hall show and stuff, and that was one of his. I don't know if it was necessarily a hit, but I just sort of always we can't talk about the old game shows without remembering Monty Hall and Let's Make a Deal, and my whole world lies waiting behind door number 3. Door number 3 was rarely the big deal of the day. It was normally either door number 1 or door number 2, but every once in a while door number 3 would be there. So. Bob Barker, sail on, no question about it. Okay, I want to switch back to a political discussion. I was over the weekend. I actually did a lot this week. I was playing golf Saturday morning, and I was one of the guys I was playing with was a psychiatrist, and we had a real interesting conversation about the Donald Trump characteristics. Because I admit, I'm fascinated. As a former federal prosecutor, I'm fascinated that anybody would take their mugshot and, first of all, pose like that for the mugshot and then merchandise it. It takes a certain mindset to do that. And so, we were talking about that. I was also talking to another friend of mine who's from the completely opposite side of the political aisle. But interestingly, it kind of ties into the conversation about Mr. Rogers we have, because his wife, and he will always tell me the story, big-time liberal, but is a listener of the program, and he'll say, she keeps coming home and yelling that she finds herself agreeing with you. She's like, I can't believe that I agree with him on this or that or whatever. I said, I'm trying to convert him. She said, no, but I don't think you've converted her. But she's at least, she comes home and she agrees with these different things and said, well, it's kind of tough to argue at that point. So anyhow, we were having this conversation, and again, different side of the political aisle, and he was going through, his theory as to why Trump will not be the nominee. And if you're a regular listener to this program, I still don't think Trump is going to be the Republican nominee. And as somebody who would like to see a conservative elected, I just don't think Donald Trump can win. But that's a conversation, we've had before. But then we got to talking to Biden, and we were having this discussion about, again, that the whole age factor. And my friend's theory was, Biden's going to hang in there until Donald Trump drops out or loses or whatever, and then he's going to step aside, because Biden's going to understand if he runs against somebody other than Trump, he's not going to be able to win. If he's the alternative to Trump, he will win, but otherwise he's going to lose because of the age vulnerability. There is a new poll out from the Associated Press and their Public Affairs Center, and they ask about Biden's age, and what they find is that 60-some% of Democrats think that Biden is too old to be the president. That's 60% of Democrats, and 80% of Republicans say that he's too old to be the president. So in other words, you're starting to see this consensus emerging that at the age of 80, and soon, if you were reelected when you'd be 82, and 86 if you served your full term, both Republicans and Democrats are saying, nope, that it's too old, and we need to have somebody younger. But nobody is out there willing to, other than, Robert F. Kennedy, nobody is out there, willing to challenge, Joe Biden in any sort of meaningful fashion. Our number is 855-616-1620, which is the old National Bank talk and text line. To me, this isn't, let's have a conversation not about, political policies, not about Republican and Democrat or liberal and conservative, but about kind of the reality. And, one of these things, and it's not just this one poll from the Associated Press, it's poll after poll after poll, where people, regardless of their political persuasion, look at a situation like this and say, he's just too darn old. And yet there doesn't appear to be any sort of significant uprising, in the Democrat Party, for even though most Democrats understand that 82 is too old to be the president, to serve another term, there doesn't appear to be any push to say, Joe, thanks for the memories. You took out Donald Trump in 2020. You did what we wanted to do, and maybe you like what he's done. Maybe you don't like what he's done. The polls suggest that he's still underwater in his approval ratings. But at some point in time, doesn't the American public need to come together and say, it's time to retire? 855-616-1620. That's the old National Bank talk and text line. Regardless of how you feel about Biden's policies, are you troubled by his age? And if not, I guess why not? Because I legitimately don't. Just like, and I've said this before, and I always get my hate texts from this, I do not understand the appeal of Donald Trump to Republicans, given all that's happened over the last couple of years, and I continue to believe that he's unelectable. Just like I don't understand the core group of people that continue to support President Trump, I do not understand a core group of Democrats that continue to support Joe Biden when he is so obviously too old for the job, or at least certainly too old to take the job for another 4 years. Do you agree with me or disagree? 855-616-1620. We discuss in a moment.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this.
Does your knee pain keep getting worse? How about that pain in your shoulder or hip or back? Well, don't let them tell you steroids and surgery are your only option. Take my advice now and call QC Kinetics. Hey, it's Greg Mansick. QC Kinetics can make that pain go away with all natural advanced regenerative medicine. They're helping people here in Milwaukee every day with these amazing natural treatments that restore and repair damaged joint tissue. It's like turning back the clock. Regenerative medicine uses concentrated healing agents from your own body to stimulate that damaged tissue in your joints so they can work like they're supposed to. And there's zero downtime. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in this exciting medical breakthrough, and patients here are getting real lasting relief and saying no to surgery and drugs. If you have pain due to injury or arthritis, this is a remarkable option that you need to check out, and the consultation is free. Call QC Kinetics now at 414-285-3474. That's 414-285-3474. 414-285-3474.
Hey, boaters!
It's a boater's do-it-yourselfer's dream store. Kendor Marine stocks thousands of boat parts and supplies. Just about everything you'd ever need to keep your boat up and running. Whether it's common or something you think might be discontinued, you can bet on us having it. So don't be surprised when we have just what you need. I'm Dave Doro, and boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Hey, boaters!
Some call them oddball parts, but we call them a huge part of our inventory. Dave Doro here from Kendor Marine. With thousands of boat parts and supplies stocked right here in our store, you won't have to look elsewhere. If you need it, chances are we got it, along with expert advice to get your job done right. Hey, boaters in the know exactly where to go. Kendor Marine, 57th and Ryan Road in Franklin.
Hey, boaters! Cruise to Kendor Marine. We got everything you need but the water.
KendorMarine.com.
Welcome back to Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Okay, so here's the poll. And again, I understand whenever we talk about polls, people, I don't believe polls, but I mean, I think this makes sense. New poll out from Associated Press, 77% say Biden is too old to be effective for 4 more years. 89% of Republicans say that. 69% of Democrats. That's 7 out of 10 Democrats. This view is held across age groups, not just by young people. But 70% of Democrats say, yes, he's too old. My producer, Samantha, she's during the break, she says to me, 86. I mean, seriously, 86 years old? Yes. And this is, I guess it is the frustration to me that regardless about policies or something, that for Democrats, for example, that this is the answer. We're going to trot out Joe Biden. I mean, you have there is nobody that can run for president who is, I don't know, represents the same policies. If you love the Biden policies that Biden has, it's got to be Biden. Really? How did we get to that stage? And don't give me the what about Trumpism. I don't want to talk. I understand Trump's got his own issues. You're talking to somebody who does not understand the appeal that Trump has to a core group of people. He's 77 years old. And there's less concerns about age with him, but there's all sorts of other concerns. But really, I mean, 80 years old now, 82 when you got inaugurated, and you for the second term. And look, here's the reality. You look at Joe Biden, and he's clearly struggling. I mean, that's just the reality of this. And God bless him. He's made 80 years old. I think a lot of people would like to make 80 years old. But as we've talked about on multiple occasions, at many, many businesses across the country, there's, for top executives, it's 65 and you're out, or it's 68 and you're out, and it's 70 you're out. How could we seriously be thinking of electing an 80-year-old or an 82-year-old man as the president when there are other alternatives that are there? What's going on, Democrats? Why aren't people coming up with realistic choices to Biden? 855-616-1620. Connie in Portage. Connie, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi. I'm a Democrat, and I'm going to vote for Biden again. I'm going to be 85, and I'm not dead yet. And I think Biden is a wonderful man. And the way I look at it, he will beat Trump again, and that is my main concern.
Well, what if it's not Trump?
And,
what if it's not Trump? What if it's Nikki Haley? No, well, you don't know that. What if work with me? What if it's Nikki Haley, or what if it's Ron DeSantis? Or
I do like Nikki Haley.
Okay.
I thought she was excellent. I watched the other night.
There's
But
no Democrat
what
there's no
bothers me-
Democrat that you like that's under 80 years old. Biden is the king. You wouldn't support. You don't think it would be better to have some whippersnapper who's in their 60s that runs?
Well, I don't know of anybody. That's the thing. There's nobody that I can think of that's running that would be equal to Biden at all.
Okay, so what does that say? If that's true, Connie, what does that say about the state of the Democratic Party, that the only person who's ready to be the president of the United States is Joe Biden, who's 80 or 82, who'll be 82 when he takes over?
Okay. Well, then what does that say about the Republican Party that they would love Donald Trump?
Well, again, Connie, this is this whataboutism. I don't want to talk about Donald Trump. I understand. I don't get the appeal of Donald Trump, but I also don't get this. Oh my gosh, Joe Biden is the only guy. There's nobody out there that could do this job. Seriously? I mean, and if that's the case, that there's no Democrat that can run for office other than Joe Biden, the Democratic Party is in a hell of a mess. And if that's really the case, and I think it's quite candidly, I think it's incredibly, Trump has his own ego and narcissist issues too. I think it is incredibly narcissistic at the age of 80 to think that you're the only person that can be the leader of the free world and not be willing to step aside. 855-616-1620. I mean, and again, I don't want to do this. What about Trumpism? I get it. That's a whole different conversation that we have all sorts of all the time. And I understand it irritates some of you that I don't believe that Donald Trump can be elected or should be elected. But let's look at the other side. Joe Biden is really the best alternative, even though 70% of Democrats in this poll, and my guess is more in their heart of hearts, know that Joe Biden is not up to the job, knowing that, okay, at the age of 82, when he would be sworn in, plus anybody who's ever dealt with the factors of age knows that oftentimes it's a gradual decline, or other times you just kind of fall off a cliff there where you kind of hit this magic point. And I think for most people in their 80s, most people would tell you, well, I'm not the man, or I'm not the woman I was when I was in my 60s or my 40s, and maybe it's just time to, I don't know, step aside, be a senior leader, as opposed to the guy that's, I don't know, got to be carrying around the nuclear football. Chris in South Milwaukee. Chris, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hey, Jeff, great topic.
Hi, Chris.
I think that last caller really nailed it there with what she had talked about. She doesn't know anyone else. What does that say? Like you said, what does that say about the party itself, man? They're keeping everything hidden. The gentleman, regardless of his age, right? It's his problem-solving skill set. It's his decline in mental aptitude. There's nothing left there. I mean, I've experienced it not personally, but through loved ones that I've taken care of and friends and family. He does not have a problem-solving skill set to lead the free world. And this is why, we're not respected around the world right now. They're taking advantage of us, and his puppet handlers are not doing what they should do, and that's introducing new blood into the system.
Well, no, thanks for calling. I mean, Chris, I'm closer to 80 than I am to 30. Okay, I fully acknowledge that, and I have a number of friends that are in their 60s and their 70s who haven't been president of the United States, but have run successful businesses, have accumulated lots of wealth over the years, have been, by any stretch of the imagination, incredibly successful. And to a person, they will all say, okay, well, even if we like to continue working, we know we don't have the same energy. We know we don't have the same vitality at 75 that we did at 45 or whatever. That's just the nature of this. And what is so staggering to me, and it is the undercovered story, and it's what comes out of this poll, 7 out of 10 Democrats, and I believe that number, know in their heart of hearts that Joe Biden is too old. And yet there's it's just all, it's the emperor has no clothes. We're just going to hear no evil and see no evil and say no evil. We're just going to pretend that this isn't an issue because, we don't like Donald Trump. Well, don't be surprised if Donald Trump, again, I continue to maintain he's not going to be the nominee. And at that point in time, if it's somebody other than Trump and Biden is running, again, a Nikki Haley or somebody like that, who's 30 or 40 years younger, who's presenting a different vision, who's speaking to a different group of people and doesn't have the baggage that Trump has, I think Biden's going to be in a lot of trouble. Does he beat Donald Trump? Yeah, but I think anybody pretty much beats Donald Trump. But how did Democrats get into this situation where you just let this end up happening that, we're going to have this coronation of a guy? Let's talk to Don in Brookfield. Don, you're on WTMJ. Hello.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
In Wisconsin, we have a law that prohibits Supreme Court justices from running once they've reached their 80th birthday. They can serve out their term once they turn 80, but they can't run again.
Do we? Do we have a law?
Yeah.
I'm not disagreeing with you. I just didn't know that. I should know that.
And yeah, maybe it's urban myth, but I'm almost 100% positive we have that rule.
Okay, well, go ahead, make your point.
Yeah, and so it's based on, the reasoning skills that a person after a certain age has. And if we're not going to allow a Supreme Court justice for a state to do that, how can we allow a president?
Well, yeah. No, thanks for the call. Now, right. There is this sort of reasoning score. I don't think that there's, let's see, unless the Supreme Court justice record contains not less than 70 years, which no person may serve as Supreme Court justice beyond the July 31st following the date on which the person attains that age of not less than 70 years, which the legislature shall prescribe by law. You might be right. I've never considered that, which would be it's a 10-year term. I don't got to look at that. That's kind of interesting. But to your larger point, in industry, like I say, their companies have these rules. You need new blood. You understand that there's, again, a decline of skills that are out there, and everybody sees it. See, that's the thing. Just like it is frustrating, I know, for a lot of people that there's a certain subset of the Republican Party that fail to see the failings of Donald Trump. There's a large group of Democrats out there that fail to see the issues that are presented by saying, okay, Joe Biden is going to be the only choice that we can have, and so we're going to do everything we can to reelect a guy who will be 82 years old at the time, he takes office. And if he survives through his term, which everybody would hope would happen, he'd be 86 years old. I mean, just think of that. And yet, for all the Democrats who say, okay, well, I can't believe people like Trump like this, I'd say that, you got to look at yourself and do a little bit of soul searching, saying, okay, how can you be supporting somebody that we all agree is, or at least most of us would agree, is past his sell-by date? And that's just a reality that's out there. Back with more in just a minute.
Don't go anywhere. Jeff Wagner is back right after this on WTMJ.
HNTB, much like downtown Milwaukee, is on an accelerated growth track. Hi, I'm Ashley Booth, the Wisconsin office leader and a vice president of HNTB. The opportunities in downtown Milwaukee are endless, and it continues to be a tremendous location for retaining and attracting talent. I love working downtown, and so do all of our employees. Experience it for yourself. Go to MilwaukeeDowntown.com.
WTMJ's Vince Vitrano here. I've played sports my entire life, been hurt a lot of times, but never had been injured until I had to stop doing the sports I enjoyed because my knee flat wouldn't allow it. I visited Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin, where they took great care of me. I put my knee in their doctors' capable hands, and now I'm back in the gym, carrying my golf bag, pain-free for 18 holes, and playing tennis as often as I like with no issues. I'd recommend Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin to anyone. Visit orthowisconsin.com.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep. We have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
Annex Wealth Management. Investment, retirement, tax, and estate planning from a fee-only fiduciary. Forget commission sales pitches and financial products you don't need. Know the difference. Annex provides elite, comprehensive financial planning customized to who you are and what you need. AnnexWealth.com.
What is the matrix?
A matrix is a rectangular array of quantities or expressions in rows and columns and manipulated according to particular rules.
You're such a math nerd.
Thank you.
I was referring to the matrix bedroom at Penny Mustard.
So was I.
What?
Break it down. The matrix is a rectangular
It's a bed.
array of quantities or expressions
Made in the USA with a combination of your choice of wood and hardware.
in rows or columns
With solid wood side rails.
Forever tight bed brackets.
And full extension drawer glides.
and manipulated according to particular rules.
Choose from a variety of stains and finishes to suit your style and decor.
There you go. That's the matrix.
I'm sorry I ever doubted you, Professor.
Teacher's pet.
The Matrix Bedroom, starting at $137 a month, with only 1 penny down and no interest till September 2027 through September 24th at Penny Mustard.
Showrooms in Milwaukee and Chicago.
PennyMustard.com.
Better versions of what people want.
Penny Mustard Furnishing.
This is Jeff Wagner on WTMJ.
Now, the caller said that there's a mandatory retirement age. You can't run for state Supreme Court after the age of 80. I think that's an urban myth. I had never heard that, and I don't believe that to be the case. For example, I think Patience Rogensack, who was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, I think she could have run again had she chosen to do so. But quite candidly, you reach a certain point in life, you're 80 years old. All right, do you really want to run for another 10-year term? Which raises these issues about Joe Biden, about what's going on there. One of our texters says, Jeff, what's depressing to me is that both parties, Democrats and Republicans, have just said, this is our guy, whether it's Donald Trump, who can't win, or Joe Biden, who's too old. What's wrong with this country when the two major parties just decide, well, this is the best that you are going to get? Yeah. Jeff, I don't think Joe Biden could get a driver's license if he took a test, let alone run the company. Jeff, we need a president that's not in his 80s, who's clearly not up for the job. We don't need a president who's a criminal. We need new blood. I think that if you got 1,000 voters, outside our office, outside in this food hall here and stuff, you got 1,000 people, and you put that question out there, do you need new blood? Forget whether you're a Republican or a Democrat. Almost everybody would say yes, because it is so obvious that's out there. Jeff, if a presidency has a minimum age, why can't there be a maximum age? Well, it shouldn't come to that, though. You shouldn't need to change the Constitution to do that. I mean, people should, first of all, when you reach a certain age, you should just be willing to say, okay, time to go on and use however much time is left to me to do, other sort of stuff, philanthropic stuff or whatever. You shouldn't need that. People should have enough self-awareness to step out. But then, the political parties should say, somebody should go to Joe Biden and say, Joe, you're just too old. I mean, that's it. It's time, Mr. President. We appreciate this, but we're going to be supporting this candidate or that candidate. Pick a name, whoever that would be. Now, I don't know that that's going to happen. But once again, do not be surprised if by this time next year, the two people running for office are not named Joe Biden and not named Donald Trump. There is a possibility that could very well happen. When we come back, let's find out what John and Greg have on their minds for Wisconsin's Afternoon News.
A Brewers game and a Vienna beef hot dog. The perfect recipe.
Wow, this is really good.
The only thing to make it better? Winning tickets to the Brewers game with Ticket Tuesdays on Wisconsin's Afternoon News. Every Tuesday at 3:35. It's Ticket Tuesdays, presented by Vienna Beef, the official hot dog of the Brewers. Better than all the rest.
Eric Smith here from Austin Plumbing. When you own a well pump, air spitting from the faucets, a decrease in fluctuating water pressure, along with silty, gritty, slimy changes in water quality, are all symptoms that your well pump isn't well. At Austin Plumbing, we're well-rounded plumbers. I say that because we're one of the few companies around who can capably diagnose and repair all the symptoms related to well pump and water system problems. You know when your car needs service, right? Maybe it makes unusual noises. It sputters, jerks, seems weak, or stops altogether. That goes for your well pump too. We have all the special equipment needed and the master know-how required to electronically pinpoint the exact cause of your well